So boys, we have a very, very special guest on today's episode. His name's Hassan, Mr. 6, now to be 7 supercars?
Yeah.
7 supercars. Hyder, Mr. Overpaid, Mr. I Run Money Twitter, Mr. You know who he is. I don't think there needs to be really truly an introduction.
Quick question, boys, over here. Which camera should I be looking at? This?
Mainly this one,
That
yeah.
one.
Okay, but I'm also looking at you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is
Side
pointed
profile.
towards you. I mean, for everybody in the behind the scenes, you might not be able to kind of understand the setup we've got going on. It's a bit of a thing.
Boys, this setup is crazy. Like this is what would you call these things on this wall here?
Soundproofing.
Soundproofing. It's crazy.
Oh, we done it properly.
Yeah.
Done it properly. Match the black tables, everything. But anyway, let's jump straight into it. So for everybody that's watching, I think most people should already know who you are and have seen your face, especially if you're on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, Mr. Overpaid. For everybody who might not know your story, however, just really, really quickly, if you don't mind giving a bit of context about what it is that you do, and then we'll jump into some interesting questions and stories.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, my name is Hassan. I got kicked out. So I was at Loughborough University. I got kicked out of university for basically getting into a fight in the student union. Got kicked out at the end of first year. So after school, had a gap year. Then went to university. Got kicked out at the end of uni, at the end of the first year. Then I got a door-to-door sales job, just selling boilers. Basically realized I wasn't making any money, getting paid £200 to £300 a week. Then I formed my own sales team with a different company because I realized with this company I was getting pimped out. Started my own sales team, started making more money with that. Started moving into other things, tried some other online ventures, like Snapchat reselling clothes. I was basically just selling, like, say, a Gucci t-shirt, but like a fake one. It's like replica clothing. But the people buying knew it was fake. It's not like I was scamming or lying to anyone. And then I moved into other things. I started trying to move into online money as well. I started my own network in October 2021 called New Money, which is why I still have this now, 2 years later, because my logic was I want to find people I can actually network with and become friends with and all these kind of things. Because I was just traveling, because I had money from my sales team coming in. I was traveling the world, but I didn't have anyone to enjoy it
I
with.
have to ask Hassan. I've always wondered this. How do you sell a boiler? Like, what? You knock up. Okay, you knocked on my door. How do you want to? Like, what would convince me to kind of buy a boiler?
So obviously it's a numbers game, but it's much more difficult to sell a boiler, yes, than like a t-shirt or something like this, because people don't just
high ticket, I guess.
Yeah, people don't just replace their boilers every day. You know, it's something you do like once every few years. So yeah, there's obviously a scheme. There's obviously kind of a script in your mind as well. But yeah, it's difficult to sell a boiler. It's not like selling, something small like we just said. But yeah, it's a numbers game. One in every 35 people would agree. So it's just a numbers game like everything else. But yeah,
That's life though, isn't it?
If someone needs it, they'll buy. But to be honest, I learned a lot about sales in general doing this whole door-to-door sales thing. Like, it's taught me so much. It applies now to online sales, relationships, negotiation. Like with sales, you learn how to speak properly. You learn how to become more confident. You just put yourself in new environments, and it teaches you a lot. But the biggest thing it taught me was just that if you knock on enough doors, you'll always make a sale. So when I was working myself, I just saw so many people come in and they were just awful, but they'd still make sales purely out of a numbers game, even though it's difficult to sell boilers. So the biggest thing it taught me was everything is just a numbers game. If you do something enough, you'll become good at it. That's probably the biggest thing.
And you've kind of passed that door-to-door sales job onto your community as well. Because I think I saw the other day there were some guys from New Money like going out doing door-to-door sales themselves, like kind of linking up through there.
So we have 10 guys in New Money. They were living in a house. I don't think anymore, but they were living in a house in Texas, a big mansion. 10 guys doing window cleaning door-to-door in America and Texas. So yeah, I tell people all the time in my community, start with door-to-door sales. So yeah, we had 10 people living in a house in Texas, and they're basically just doing window cleaning. And yeah, I tell people all the time in my community, do door-to-door, do door-to-door, do door-to-door. Because if you're doing cold calling, you could just be sat here in your room, in your boxers, in your pants, and you could be making phone calls. Your body language could be like this. You could be very shy. You could be very nervous. And no one will be able to tell. But when you're putting yourself out there, they can see your body language, they can see your face.
Door-to-door is a completely different game field, because it's also like body language as well. Because when you're in person, you're like sales calls on Zoom or over the phone, you can kind of hear their tonality and you can kind of ask them questions if they're engaged, etc. But when you're in person, you can see their body language and how their facial expressions and how they react, and it's a whole different game field. And for you as well. So you got to focus on your fucking body language, your facial expressions, etc.
100%. And if you're just calling on the phone, you don't see their face in the moment as you start saying things. So with door-to-door, it teaches you, as you say X, you get this reaction, then you can like recalibrate and just readjust and basically say, okay, this person's not feeling this at the moment. I need to hit it from another angle. I need to change the way I'm selling this. Because a lot of times people would basically say no at the door, I'm not interested. But my sales philosophy that I learned and developed just doing door-to-door for so long was just buy or die. either someone's going to buy from you there and then, or they're basically dead. Because in door-to-door sales, there's no such thing as like recapturing leads. On online sales, if you're running ads or whatever, you can recapture, retarget.
Yeah.
Whereas with door-to-door, it's now or never.
Yeah.
So you completely learn the art of just like really pushing hard in that moment. Otherwise, they're gone forever.
Yeah.
So it teaches you to go super, super hard in the moment. So I developed this philosophy just called buy or die. So I'd sell to them, sell. If they say no, try and sell again. But then eventually, maybe after 2, 3, 4 times of saying no, they're super not interested. Then you leave the door, go on to the next door.
Yeah.
And that mindset served me very, 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 very well, even with online sales. The way I promote my private community, New Money, is very much like join today or just never join, now or never.
Yeah.
Sometimes people message me and they're asking me all these questions. I'm like, listen, if you want to join, join. If not, fuck off, basically.
Yeah. And you know, that's you said this yourself, that's for everything in life. You have to just go for it. Just do it now or you're never going to do it. The problem with a lot of people who don't make a lot of money is the fact that they're always getting ready to then take that action. You're always right, just next year, next month, no, motherfucker, just start now. It doesn't matter if it's the 1st of January. Nothing changes. It's just another day. Another number changes on the calendar.
It's the biggest thing I learned. Like, nothing actually goes your way unless you force it to go your way. Now, again, that's why door-to-door is so good, and I talk about it so much, because it teaches you all these lessons. It forces you to kind of create this mindset of like, if I want it, I have to get it right now. Because with door-to-door, there were so many moments where I'd just be sat in my car, I had a Volkswagen Polo, I'd be sat there and I'd be like, it's windy outside, it's starting to rain, like my sheet of paper, my folder's falling on the floor, just fell in this puddle, like everything's going wrong. But if I don't actually go out and knock on the door right now, I'm absolutely not going to get paid. Yeah. Whereas like even with online sales.
It was commission only?
Commission only.
Yeah, same, yeah.
So with online sales, let's say you have an e-com store, whatever. You can just wait for the money to roll in. Maybe you get lucky, someone buys 5 of your products. You know, you get a few orders coming in, you hear the Shopify ding ding sound. But with door-to-door sales, unless you actually go out and get that commission, you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And maybe perhaps, so I done door-to-door for RSPCA. It was £1 a day or £1 a week charity, right? Yeah. Super easy sale. It's like, oh, you love animals?
The opposite of boilers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But still, even within my field, a lot of people were there for maybe a week and a half. Maximum 2 weeks, right? And then they would leave because they realize how difficult it is, right? For you, was it kind of the same thing? Did you guys have a lot of people come in and go because they realize how difficult it is?
Well, yeah, for me, a lot. Well, the actual company I was knocking door to door with, not the one I formed a sales team with later, they, like, most of the people working there were at university. They were doing it as a part-time job, whereas I got kicked out of university. So I was in this weird position where all my colleagues or friends, whatever you want to call them at that time, they were doing it as a part-time job. They just saw it as a laugh. They saw it as fun. But this was like my whole life. I had nothing else going for me besides this door-to-door sales job where I was getting paid £200-300 a week. So maybe they'll get £200 to £300 a week, but that's okay because it's extra pocket money for them and you need to buy drinks, drugs, whatever. Whereas me, that was my whole everything.
You went all in, yeah.
But I kind of just constantly told myself that this is like an apprenticeship phase. This is going to teach me skills, and when I become good at sales, I'm going to be set forever. That was kind of my logic. My logic was if I become really good at selling, I know the skills I'll learn will serve me well forever. Because I knew what I was good at in life and I knew what I was bad at. I knew I was better at talking to people and just socializing than I was at just typing on a computer, setting up some e-com store or learning how to read the graphs in trading. Like that was what I always struggled with. And what I also did when I started doing door-to-door is I tried to make money with Forex and I lost all my money. I know you guys, you have your Forex stuff, you teach people with that, which is very good. But I wasn't really following any kind of program. I was just getting very greedy. And I blew through all my...
It was just gambling at that point.
Complete gambling. No stop loss. No take profit. Like I'd wake up, I'd check my phone. I'd be like £700 in profit. And I'd quickly close it like, wow, I just made £700 because I'd put in huge lot sizes and everything. Then I'd go back to sleep. Then I'd wake up. Another trade with £700 in loss. Like it made me lose a lot of sleep and I was getting stressed about it. But yeah. I remember trying to get rich from Forex because eventually I just became impatient with the whole door-to-door grind. And I was looking for ways out, basically. But yeah, that's just shiny object.
That's no bad thing, though, because I think you've got to go through those experiences of trying things to actually get to a point where, you know, you find the one thing that works for you, and then obviously you carry forward with that.
I mean, yeah, it just taught me so many lessons. It just kind of taught me there's no free lunch in life. There's no easy way out.
Sorry, I was going to say, when you're working on commission only, that is it. That's exactly what I learned as well. For you, was that your first kind of experience with like sales and commission only and you can make however much you want? Or did you have something before? I know you said you had like the t-shirts and stuff. Was that before the door-to-door or after?
No, the t-shirts was after door-to-door.
Right.
I'm just trying to remember. I feel like there was something. No. I had a retail job in Debenhams in England.
Sure.
You guys would probably know.
Yeah.
I had a retail job in Debenhams.
But that was per hour, I take it, yeah?
Yeah, it was per hour, but I was going through the store kind of, because the manager
What were you selling in Debenhams?
It was just like me giving store cards to people around the shop. It wasn't commission, but that was kind of like my first experience, like talking to people, going out and trying to sell them on this thing, like a store card. Because she knew I was kind of restless. My personality was always, I want to talk to new people. I was always kind of just, not arrogant, but just, she saw me as just a bit of a dickhead. Like in the changing room, I'd always go on my phone, and then she thought, instead of him just going on his phone because he's bored sitting in the changing room waiting for people to come to the changing room, let him just walk around the shop trying to sell store cards. So that was maybe my first experience. I did a lot of volunteering work as well, but that was my first selling experience.
Did you enjoy that in Debenhams, or was that obviously kind of your first taste of
It was when I was in my gap year, so the year before I went to university. I did enjoy it those 2-3 months because, you know, it was my first job. I was getting paid a bit of money, and it was something to do during the day.
What do you think about university now?
I'm not one of those people who say like completely like fuck university and all these things. I think university was great. Like that was probably the happiest year of my life because I'd just go to the gym every day, focus on having a really good diet, had lots of fun. You're just surrounded by girls everywhere. Had a very good social life with my friends. I had lots of fun. I can't really say anything bad. I was sad when I got kicked out of university, but at the same time, if I was to go back in time and someone said, you know, try and become as successful as you can, I wouldn't go to university. I just didn't know any better.
No, I get that.
Like you guys are how old?
I'm 21.
25.
21, 25. I'm 24. So, you know, Harry here is 21. It's like when I was 21, I'd just been kicked out of uni, or maybe the year after. So people nowadays are learning the game younger.
You see, that's something I do take issue with when people are all like, oh, like foot school. I saw one on Twitter the other day. It was a guy who he's taking that new Luke Belmar's course, and it was he said 13-year-old school dropout.
I might have seen that. Someone reposted it.
It's like that's dangerous though, because I'm not being funny. Okay, look, maybe not university, but you need to work hard during you're definitely primary school and high school. High school in the US is something different. That would be their middle school, I presume, if they're watching from the US. You need to work harder in that period because that's going to teach you like obviously core skills, sales. That's something separate. But it's going to teach you like fucking basic maths, which you need for life, basic English, so you can write and you can type and you can speak eloquently. If you don't have that, and we've now got
he's biohacking.
He's biohacking. To be fair, kids dropping out of school at 13 because Luke Belmar's told them that they should escape the Matrix. It's fucking dreadful. I think that's more dangerous than a lot of these terrorist groups.
Biohacking.
The problem is, I'm telling you, it is poisoning a generation. That's what I call it.
I think it's all relative, like what you said, right? I think now, what you know now, if you were back then and somebody asked you, oh, right, now you have to make as much money as possible, be as successful as possible. Now with what you know now, you'd be like, all right, maybe uni isn't the way. Yeah. Maybe I should start this. But at the time, you said it yourself. You were just like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
You know what? I kind of, my outlook on life is kind of different than a lot of like these make money online kind of guys. It's like my mindset is there's 3 categories of people. There's the work hard people who make millions like us, put us into this category. Then there's the people we know from like, say, university or school who really play hard. They're always chasing girls. They're always going on vacations. They're always saving up every penny they make from their job, and they always manage to find a way to get to Ibiza, Marbella, and they have some fun in the summer, and they really just live life up. These are the play hard category. Then there's a lot of you guys watching. I'd put them in the middle category, which I think is the worst category. And I used to be in this category where you're working hard, you're kind of working a 9-to-5 job, you're coming home every day, right? Maybe, or a door-to-door sales job. You're coming home every day, you're tired, but you still haven't really made a success of yourself. But you're kind of calling these guys the normies and the brokies, like, oh, ha, these guys are normies in university. Like, for example, those 13-year-olds you're talking about, like, drop out of school, drop out of uni, blah, 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 blah. And they think these people, as an accountant, are the losers.
Yeah.
When a lot of these people are making 6 figures a year, they have a nice girlfriend, they go to the gym every day, they're in shape. And these people are the losers because they just sit in their room all day on their desk.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Because I kind of got to the point, what made me really go hard was one day I just came back from my door-to-door sales job and I was like, I'm actually doing much worse off than these people in uni right now, the people I was friends with.
Yeah.
Because even though I see myself now as like this guy who's on the climb, at the moment I'm not having any fun. I'm working my door-to-door sales job all day. I'm coming home, analyzing my sales performance for the day, writing notes on my sales performance, talking to my brother. I'm trying to like teach him about business so one day he could help me. I'll spend like a lot of time invested into that kind of like training my brother, if you want to call it that. Researching things online, anything like how to read the Forex drafts, I did that briefly, like everything, like how to make money online. I knew nothing about business, sales, marketing.
All of that's great, but are you actually achieving anything?
Nothing, because I didn't have a mentor, I didn't really have anything. Yeah. There was a couple of people online I knew of, but I didn't know what my next steps were. I just knew sales was good and I just needed to stick to it. But my point was like, I'm stuck in this middle category. These people are doing better than me, and these people are doing better than me. I think it's worse being in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working hard or playing hard. I'm not doing anything productive.
Yeah. The worst
You're in no
part,
man's land.
the worst part is the people in the middle that maybe they've quit there. And by the way, this was completely me, just for a bit of context, right? Yeah. I got to a stage where I was finally making about $4,000 a month with my social media marketing agency. I was working as an estate agent at the time, and I quit that, right? I quit the estate agency job, and I went all in with my SMA, right? And there was a period of time, maybe even like up to 3 months, where I was still making about $4,000 a month, which sure is a little bit above, maybe like 2K above the average wage in the UK, but still. You're only making 4K a month, right? And you're working, at least I was, 24/7, not 9 to 5. Yeah. So, and then a lot of people get stuck in this space because now you've finally got that freedom. You can do whatever you want in your own terms, in terms of like you have all the time in the world, but you're still restricted by the money, by the finances.
So during that time period, what was your mindset like? Were you like? Obviously, that you wanted more and stuff. Were you happy, sad?
I'll tell you. So initially, once I quit, I was in such a mindset. And there's that famous clip from one of the podcasts that I done where like I woke up and I was like, I can do what the fuck I want, right? And that lasted about, like I said, 2-3 months where I was in this blissful mindset. I was being an idiot because I was thinking I was finally the success that I always wanted. But in reality, if you look at my bank account, I ain't fucking done anything. Yes, I have the time freedom and the location freedom, so I could just travel.
That is great, because that's obviously what a lot of people are really after. But at the same time,
but I still couldn't do what I actually wanted to do, which was like maybe buy that watch or retire my mum and da. So it took me about 2-3 months to get out of that middle stage. What you're talking about there, it's so dangerous.
There's like 3 types of freedom, right? There's the geographical, time, and then the financial freedom. Yeah. And a lot of people have like one of the 3 or maybe 2 of the 3, but to have all 3, that's the impressive part. That's the hard part. Yeah. Because a lot of people, like, they think they have a business, but they don't. They just have a high paying job. Yeah. So they have to be glued to their laptop or phone to make sales, to make money. Yeah. So you don't really have a business, right? You need to kind of set your things up in a way where you have people doing some things for you, and then you can kind of just, like right now we're doing a podcast, but things are running in the background for us. Yeah. That's what you need.
And also, I think it's completely okay, by the way, this is just my personal opinion, let me know if you disagree, but I think it's completely okay that there is, for me and Harry, it lasted maybe 2-3 years where we had financial freedom for sure. We technically had geographical freedom, so we could travel wherever because it's all online. However, time freedom, we still had to jump on calls. We still had to reply to these people because we were really building.
I think a lot of people bunch together location freedom and time freedom. It's like a lot of people put that together, but it's really not together at all. Because they're very different indeed. Because obviously, you can go and travel anywhere, but as you say, you're still tied down to calls. You're still tied. I mean, even to this day, we're still fairly tied to WhatsApp because that's just something that I don't think you can never really achieve full time freedom ever unless you like retire. Like maybe you sell your company and you got 100 million quid and you're just like, fuck this then, I'm just not work for the rest of my life. Because I think that if you're ever building anything, if you've actually got a 100% time freedom, then you probably shouldn't, because you should be spending your time actually building that new business or putting the work in or whatever. So also, I think time freedom is a myth.
I was literally about to say that. I want your opinion on this. I think the whole and I used to really fucking struggle with the whole life and work balance bullshit. Like 2 years ago, it was actually really, really bad, to the point where I flew my entire family out from Latvia to the UK as like a holiday, right? I was there with them. For an entire week, I took them to London, every nice little restaurant, hotel, I was like, in the back of my head, I was thinking, I need to get back to work. I need to reply, right? And I was really struggling with this. And I would almost like drive myself, not insane, but like I definitely would not enjoy the moment, only because in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I need to work. But now I'm in such a stage, and I want your opinion. Now I'm in such a stage where like, I just love working. I don't think there's a problem with that whatsoever. Yeah. I enjoy it.
No, because we had this because I had the same thing like for the past year. I had like, since I moved to Dubai, I've not been on any holidays, not really done all that much. So I think everyone's like, oh, like that's not good, but at the end of the day, like what else is there to do? You've got, if you enjoy the work and that's what actually brings you happiness because you've become so obsessed with something, which is a healthy obsession, then just do it.
I completely agree. Yeah, I had the exact same thing, but I wasn't sat there kind of thinking like, oh, I don't have time to do anything else, because I always kind of just think you're always one decision away from just doing exactly what you want. Like, let's say right now you feel like you haven't got time freedom because you're busy taking calls. If you really didn't like the calls, it's very easy to find someone to do the calls.
Of course.
Even if, like, I say this all the time, this is just sales advice for you guys. Like, let's say right now you're 100 out of 100 in terms of sales ability because it's your own brand. Let's say you're closing for your own brand, whatever. You're 100 out of 100. Let's say you get 100 leads, you make 100 sales. But let's say you hire someone else, even if they're 60% as good as you, they'll probably be a bit better, right? Unless you're an exceptional salesman. They'll be 60% as good.
70, 80, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. That's a massive underestimate. Let's say 70% is good then. Okay, you lose those 30 leads for every 100. But the whole point is, because you're focusing more on the marketing and other things, now you're getting triple, quadruple, 7 times the leads.
Precisely.
So you actually make way more money, and you now have time freedom, and you're doing the more enjoyable things, which is not hopping on calls with random people.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because there's a lot of people in this online space that me and Marcus have met and come across where they're still doing everything themselselves, and they've reached a plateau. So they've reached a point. So the graph's been going up like that, but then there's a certain point they can't move past because all their time is spent doing that other percentage.
100%.
So I think that, people... I think it comes from like a place of control. A lot of people are scared to give up control of a certain process because they know it's going well and whatever. But you need to accept that, okay, yes, performance is going to drop in one area, but if you're maxing it by 300-400% in another area, everything's going to increase hugely.
Yeah, people want to micromanage things because ultimately they're just insecure. That's kind of how it works. They're insecure that they'll lose their current position. They're so desperate to hang on to, I'm making $500 a day, and if I outsource it, maybe we go down to $300. But the whole point is, if you go down to $300, now you're going to start making thousands a day because you're absolutely maxing every other area, like we just mentioned. So yeah, I had that for a brief period of time as well at the very beginning. It's normal. I think everyone goes through that stage because naturally you are going to be insecure when you start making a bit of money. You don't want to lose the momentum you've got. You've told everyone you're going to be successful. You told all your friends in uni. For my whole life, I was always that guy in school before I ever started any business. I was telling everyone I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. It's in my yearbook in school. It literally says, like, plans for the future. It says, become a millionaire and travel as much as possible. That's exactly what I've done. So that was always me. I used to be more arrogant. I would always be telling people I'm going to be this and that. I won't even see it as arrogance. It'd just be like, just cheeky and just confident, basically.
So I've got a question for you. So you know how you probably come across, every single person online says, I always knew I'd make it.
No, I knew, yeah.
Right,
I
okay.
knew, for sure. Everyone from my school could...
I agree with what you're saying there, but do you think there's an element of that, which is, obviously hindsight's an incredible thing, isn't it? Because I think that everyone in life...
We talked about this before.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, I think that everyone in life has that belief, I'm going to make it, it's going to work out. I think everyone has that, which means that obviously when you get to a point of successful, you're like, I always had that. But I actually think there's just a difference to an extent of how much of it someone has. I think everyone's got it, but just it's differing amounts.
Yeah, I think everyone does think they're a bit special.
Yeah.
I think everyone, like, even when people are describing situations of their life, they're always kind of talking about, like, oh no, my situation's unique. People love thinking their situation's unique. Like, bro, you don't understand. It's hard right now with my family. My mum and dad are going blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, literally.
This girl, blah, blah, blah. She broke my heart, but it's not quite like that. Like, everyone kind of thinks their situation's unique, but it's not. No, but I think some people do. Yeah, I think there are differing levels of self-belief.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at someone like Conor McGregor, like, he knew he was going to become successful. Like, you could just see it with the way he spoke. And I think it is different because, look, when I was in my economics class in school, I was in year 12 in school. So for Americans, like grade 11, I was like 15, 16, whatever, 16, 17. I would be telling, it was like an all boys class, this economics class. I'd be telling everyone I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. I'm going to be getting these grades at the end of year. And like, everyone was basically just like, Hassan, what are you talking about? Even my economics teacher said you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. But when I said it, I was super, like, I knew for a fact that I was telling the truth. But they would never say something like that because they didn't believe. So maybe they thought they were special as well and they were unique. But the reason why they laughed and the reason why they thought, Hassan, I'm crazy, is because they know they can't do it. So I kind of disagree with that point of like everyone knows they're going to make it. I don't think that. I think everyone thinks they're going to make it, but they don't know they're going to make it. A lot of people...
And they often don't apply themselves to actually do so.
Yeah, but like even like little things. So for example, when I had that job in Debenhams I was just telling you about, I would be like... That was when I was like listening to a lot of these... like. Boys, the microphone just fell out. I'm not sure if you guys saw that on the podcast. But yeah, basically... Every day I'd be, driving to Debenhams and stuff, and I'd be sitting there like listening to, there's like Tony Robbins speeches on YouTube, like believe in yourself and you can do anything. Like I was kind of consuming a lot of this motivational content. Now a lot of people now say all that stuff's kind of useless, and even now I tell people like watching this, don't just overly consume all that motivational stuff. Like try and listen to advice that's kind of more practical and actionable. Having said that though, but like all that kind of stuff just led to my self-belief, and it kind of led me to the next person, and I kind of. Eventually I was like, okay, this is kind of how you make money. You need to learn sales. You need to learn marketing. Because when you know nothing about business, even when someone mentions the word sales to you, like sales what? Sell what? Like, what does sales even mean? What does marketing mean? Market what? So I guess it kind of just like, it's just the beginning of your journey. Like I remember even like watching a couple of Ty Lopez's videos on YouTube. He was talking about read every day and then I started reading more of these self-improvement books. Now I don't read, but it was kind of things like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think Rich, Grow Rich.
I think it's a blessing and a curse to all this like kind of like more so short form content you see on TikTok, all these lifestyle motivation videos, because obviously on the one hand it's great because if somebody might see that and might inspire them and it might be that kind of subtle change in the day that they need to get started. But then I think at the same time you're completely right. If you're over consuming it and you're not actually doing it, you can be feeling like you're productive without actually doing very much at all. That's the issue.
The whole mental masturbation where like you're constantly educating yourself, learning, but you're not applying it.
If I watch this video of Iman Gadzhi telling me the 7 things I need to get rich in 2024, I'm gonna it doesn't work like that, sadly.
But yeah, so I agree with what you said. I don't think you quite went through this, but I'm the same with Hassan, where when I was first starting out working at that estate agency job, my last 9 to 5, all my YouTube feed, everything would just constantly be everything just about manifestation, law of attraction, mindset, psychology, sales, all of this stuff. Only consumed that. But however, I get so Harry's whole thing is like people get too consumed with this bullshit.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Right? Yeah. And I did as well. There was a period as well. I think it was during those 3 months that I said after I quit my 9 to 5, I was just constantly listening to all this stuff, which is good, I think, when you're starting out. And if you need to reprogram your mindset, because my mom comes from like a very, very poor background, right? So she never was able to teach me about mindset and abundance and money and finances and doing business, right? So I had to educate myself. Yeah. But I think after you've gone through that and you've kind of reprogrammed your mind, then you just need to apply it. Simple as that. And you get feedback from your actions. You need to take that into account. I've got one thing to say, right? And I saw this online and it just made so much fucking sense, right? Especially the time and place that we're living through right now. So the idea is to explain why the rich get richer in an essence, right? Because I think when I was dead broke, I never understood it. The whole, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Like I see it with my own eyes, but I never understood it. Like why? If these rich people are getting rich, then why can't everybody? Why isn't it equal? So this example that I saw online just explained it in such easy terms. So just bear with me, right? So let's just say you watching this right now, you are a sales rep at a car dealership, right? It's you and there are 4 other sales reps. So there's 5 of you all together, right? Now, let's just say you are average. You maybe sell, 4 cars a month, whatever, and so do the other 3 people. But one of the sales reps, he sells 12 cars a month. Just consistently. The guy's an absolute god when it comes to sales, right? So everything's going good. You're 2 years in, everything's still normal, All of a sudden, this illness comes around, right? And all of a sudden, stock starts to dry up a little bit. You get less cars, you get less customers coming into the store. So then therefore the business owner, if he's going to look at the 5 different sales reps, right? And he knows that there are less people coming into the store, but he still needs to make more sales. Well, out of you 5 sales reps, which one is he going to send to try and make that sale? Yeah. He's obviously going to choose the best sales rep, exactly. Right? So therefore you need to start to understand that now, if you just imagine this best sales rep is now getting more opportunities, right? And the other 4 are getting less. And that's literally how life works, right? All of a sudden you start to understand, so that's why the best always wins. So you need to be obsessed with whatever you do. I think for you, when you're doing your door-to-door, at least for me, I would constantly do pitch practice, even outside of my working hours. I'll look at my numbers and analyze, why did I do shit today? I just knocked on less doors. All right, tomorrow I'm going to do twice as many. So you start to analyze these things. And for me, I have a very, very obsessive mindset, but like a healthy obsessive mindset. That's why I don't do drugs or alcohol, none of this stuff. I really, really just focus on what I love to do and what's going to bring me income, which is like business, podcasts, content, etc. Do you kind of look at things like that as well?
100%. Yeah, I actually heard that analogy the other day as well. I saw that somewhere on Instagram. It's so true. But I kind of think it's not just that why the rich get richer. There's a lot of other reasons. Like we were just doing a YouTube vlog just before this podcast, and we were showing your maid, and you guys were just saying your maid costs whatever a month, whatever per day, right? The reason why the rich get richer is because the poor people are spending, let's say, the hour cleaning the house, cooking, and doing all these things, whereas the rich have complete control of their time. Every minute of your day when you're rich or you have more money is completely for yourself an expansion of money, money-making moves, right? So even you just bought a new watch, right? I'm sure you want to mention that. Yeah. You just bought a new iced out Patek. Right? Instead of him going to England,
I feel like iced out doesn't really do it justice, but yeah.
It's a crazy Patek. So instead of him going to England like a peasant, right? He's just getting it shipped to him in Dubai, right? So people are just coming to him. Watches are coming to him. People are coming to him. So then you can just sit there and then constantly just sit in one position basically all day.
Yeah, literally, that's what I mean. They said they'd send one of their employees on a plane in his hand to just bring it here. So I was like, well, saves me a trip. So yeah, fuck it.
Because you can have a driver when you're rich. You have people cooking the food, whether it's a maid, Uber Eats. Obviously everyone can order Uber Eats within reason, right? But I'm saying when you're rich, everything you do is basically just you're in control of your time. And you have more and more time to just get better at certain skills. So let's say right now you're in competition with someone else at getting good at sales, at getting good at posting on social media. Let's say you want to grow a YouTube channel and some poor guy wants to run a YouTube channel. He has 8 hours of work. He has to cook his own food, wash his own clothes, all these other things. Whereas you have a maid who does everything for you, and then you don't have a job. You can just spend all day just trying to grow the YouTube channel. You're obviously going to beat that guy.
Yeah.
So, there's a million different examples we can say like that. But yeah, you have control of your time. Money makes money. I always say in life, you can look at life as like a war. Let's say getting rich is like a battle, right? If you want to win a battle, if America are fighting another country, why do they win all the battles? Why are they the strongest country in the world? Because they have the strongest military, they have the best equipment, the most soldiers, blah, blah, blah. So it's the same thing with making money. Each dollar, each pound, I always talk about it, is like a soldier, right? And the more soldiers you have and the more soldiers you deploy, the more you'll win. So I could have, let's say, to my name, $10,000. You could have, let's say, 100,000. But if you keep your 100,000 in your bank doing nothing for you, you're not deploying your soldiers. And I use my 10,000, maybe I hire a maid, I hire a cleaner, I hire some members of staff to help me, respond to my messages, help me with assistant tasks. I have more chance of winning that battle because I'm deploying my soldiers more efficiently. I always talk about it like learning how to spend money is a skill in of itself. People don't know how to spend money because in school they kind of indoctrinate you to think save, 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 save. But the reason why they want you not spending your money, your energy, your soldiers, your currency is because they want you to continue working the same 9-to-5 job. Because if you don't spend your money, you're guaranteed to stay in the same job because then you're living paycheck to paycheck. But if you make your money work for you, you become richer. So the reason why the rich get richer is because they know how to use their money better than everyone else. But it's not just like they invest it in stocks. That's not how you get rich. You invest it in this whole podcast equipment, and then now you have a podcast, and then you now grow your personal brand. You guys have products you sell on the back end. Your face becomes more out there. Then maybe in the future you start selling your own energy drink. Maybe you come out with your own watch company. Maybe you start buying and selling watches. Right?
I think it's financial literacy. I think is what they lack. Obviously, as soon as you get to a certain point,
how do you learn that?
I think the only way of learning financial literacy is to actually have the money yourself and then use it, because it's all well and good reading 10 economics books. Like I took economics as well at A-level. It's all well and good knowing about supply and demand graphs and things like that. And how's that going to practically help you day-to-day life? It's not, unless you're going to not even work at a bank, because you don't need that if you work at a bank. It's actually just not really that useful. Actual usefulness is knowing things like how I can hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines and pay them $300 a month and I get X amount of work out of them, and that's a different level of education to just learning about.
That's why you don't need IQ though. People always think you have to be super, super intelligent to become successful. You don't. You just need to hear something from someone and think, you know what, I'm gonna be the kind of guy to apply it. Some of
the richest people I know aren't the most intelligent people.
No, they're just at all. They just work very, very hard, and they just apply things quickly. So let's say I don't know anything about virtual assistants. I know nothing about podcasts. I know nothing about social media. But I hear from you guys, having a virtual assistant is good because then you pay them X amount of money, but they make you 10x the money because your time is, let's say, worth 10x their time. Because they might get paid $3 an hour, but if you're working a normal job, maybe you get paid 20 or 30 an hour. So, okay, you hire them and said, okay, I think, you know what, that's quite good. Then I now have a VA. Now I'm becoming better. I'm becoming more successful. I'm becoming richer.
One more thing, just before we move on, you mentioned about like deploying your soldiers, like spending money, which then brings in more money because you get more time, etc. One thing about that I learned from personal experience, I never heard it anywhere else, was, and again, it's all relative. I come from a poor background, so to me, when I first started, I thought £1,000 was like a lot of money to spend on something, like one thing. So when I first started, the idea of me charging this is back then SMA, the idea of charging 1,000, 2,000 per month to a business owner, I was a little bit like shook, like, can I even say that? But then eventually, I started making a bit of cash, blah, blah, and then I started spending that money. I bought a car for like £7,000.
Which one?
I think it was an Insignia of some sort. This was like when I was first still starting out. So anyway, I spent that money, and all of a sudden, after I spent that big lump sum back then, it was a lot of money to me, right? All of a sudden now, I looked at £7,000. I was like, well, yeah, it's just £7,000. So then when you start to go to ask for that money, it's like, it's only £7,000. But if you don't I feel
like you're more likely to, when you actually have that and you ask for that money, knowing, in yourself, and you ask it with more confidence. So I feel like if you spend the money, you're able to actually get it back, because if you're sat on a call with someone, you're like, well, please, can I have £1,000 for my service? Okay. Or if you're like, okay, cool, mate. So the service is £1,000. I'll send you the invoice where, like, there's a big difference, and I feel like, as you say, you have to actually spend that money to know the difference. Because if you just got it sat in your bank account and you're fucking really scared of losing it, scared of spending it. Also, I'm not making fun. If you're making money, what's the fucking point? Why are you making money if you don't spend it?
That's the point that people forget. Like, people kind of get too caught up in this whole it has to have ROI. The ROI is you got to enjoy your life. Like, I have 7 supercars now, and people are talking to me all the time about they depreciate, but do you know what else depreciates? Me and you and you.
We're gonna die one day. Completely agree.
We're gonna die one day. You might as well live your life, even if it didn't have ROI.
The only one I disagree is if you're going and you're spending the money in clubs, you're a fucking idiot, and I'm sorry. And at that point, it's natural selection. But if you're spending the money on if you're spending the money on watches and cars, really and truly, okay, although no, you lose 5-10 grand here and that doesn't really matter. You still got that money. It's just better than sitting in your bank account. But
you'll make the money back through the fact that, like, okay, we're friends now. We're friends, right? We met each other.
Oh, nice one.
We met each other maybe a month ago or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, would we have become friends if none of us had supercars or if we weren't posting on social media? No, because we wouldn't have even knew we existed.
There. Another one which I think is interesting is, why do all these like self-proclaimed rich people and whatever, all these rich people, why do they force themselves to wake up at 6 a.m. and like go to the, like, obviously we go to the gym still, but wake up at 6 a.m, have an ice bath, yada yada. I've worked so fucking hard so I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. so I can wake up whenever the fuck I want to wake up. I don't get it. The same as the people that, they've worked hard to make the money, now I'm not going to spend it.
I remember talking to one guy once, and he was basically telling me, bro, like, at the moment I'm finishing my shift at like 2:30. It's like a nighttime shift. I was like, okay. But bro, I'm super tired every day because I'm waking up at 6. I was like, what? Like, every day you're getting 3.5 hours sleep? He's like, yeah. I was like, bro, why? He's like, yeah, because I just heard online, like, it's good to wake up at 6, start your day, journal, blah, blah, blah.
People are just so fucking
And I was like,
stupid.
bro, I completely respect the fact that you're so disciplined and hungry enough and you think that's going to make you successful. But like, bro, you're just killing yourself. The people who say wake up at 6, they're sleeping at 10. This is the whole thing a lot of people don't realize, this whole meditation and sauna bullshit and this whole,
they're not
like,
even doing it, a lot of them, by the way.
Yeah, it's all cap.
It's all just for marketing, because if you say this is the morning routine secrets, you sound a lot more like you have the secret, and then people then you get views, and then people want views.
And it's a course teaching how to wake up.
Yeah, it's like, this is the mindset secret, you know. But yeah, if you sleep at 10 and you wake up at 6,
then yeah,
that's the exact same as sleeping at 11:30, waking up at 7:30. Now, what I've noticed in my experience, and this is one thing I'm working on myself now, is if you sleep at like 4 or 5 in the morning and wake up at, let's say you sleep at 5 and you wake up at 1, you still get 8 hours. That's not the same quality of sleep as sleeping at 11 and waking up at 7. It's much better to sleep at 11 and wake up at 7. The quality of sleep when it's earlier is much higher. My mum used to say that when I was younger, and I didn't believe her, because it's all to do with your sleep cycles and the sun and there's a reason why, you know, people used to sleep when it was sunset kind of, and they wake up when it's sunrise. It's good for you. Mm-hmm. What's that saying? Man who wakes, the sunrise quote, it's basically like, early to bed makes, what's that saying? That classic saying, which is
early
like,
bird gets the worm. Like,
something like that. It's basically like early to rise makes a man wise. Or, early to rise makes a man wise. Something along those lines. There's so many famous quotes like that from all these Think Rich, Grow Rich kind of books, these self-improvement books.
So you don't have necessarily a morning routine, right?
No, I don't have a morning routine. So I think it's all bullshit.
So the reason why I asked that, by the way, because again, we're going to have a lot of young men listening to this, right? Probably 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And I was that, all three of us fucking were that young guy, impressionable, right? Listening to online, and they want to better themselves. They want to make money. They want to build a business, help their family. So what do? They go online and they listen to maybe perhaps people like us, and they listen to what we say, and they will probably implement it. So all three of us are sitting here, fairly successful in comparison, right? We're literally saying we live life on our own terms. We wake up at this time, go sleep here. We don't have to do this. However, there is one thing that all three of us do very, very well, and that is work hard for a long period of time, consistently. That's it. Yeah. That's the main thing.
That's the only shared common trait between all successful people. It's not like I could wake up at 6 a.m., you could wake up at 8 a.m., you could wake up at 12 p.m., right? Midday. I could believe in sitting in the sauna, you could believe in meditating, you could believe in journaling, and this person could believe in something else. Yep. But all of us, right, we could have different morning routines, but all of us have the same mindset of we got to work hard for a long period of time. We got to treat people good.
It's not rocket science. Like people just overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science at all.
And also when we talk about working hard, there's a massive difference between sitting in front of your computer and just procrastinating for 4 hours than it is for just 1 hour having no social media and working hard.
I was just going to say there's two types of people. For me, this is like almost a litmus test to see if someone's going to be successful or not. I really think this is a good test. There's two types of people. There's the people who sat on the desk for 5 hours and said, oh, bro, I was working so hard, I did 5 hours work. Then there's the people like me who spent 5 hours sat at the desk actually working pretty hard. I say, I did nothing, that wasn't productive. Because I'm so hard on myself, I'm such a perfectionist. Because I used to see all these guys in school, they sat in the library, they took toilet breaks, they took lunch breaks, they took breaks talking, coffee breaks, everything, just talking shit. They're like, I worked so hard in the library for 5 hours. They literally spent probably 30 minutes working. They're like, I did 5 hours of revision, 5 hours of studying. Like you didn't, you spent 30 minutes studying, 4.5 hours getting back into the focus of studying, 4.5 hours talking to you guys, 4.5 hours going to the toilet. That's not studying. So if you want to be successful and you actually spend your 4 or 5 hours actually being productive, you're going to be successful. And another point is that if you have a 9-to-5 job, which we all have to have a job to pay our bills initially, right? The problem is if you go gym as well, you want to spend some time with your family or your dog or your girlfriend, whatever. You only have like 4 hours or maybe 5 hours to grind in the evening after work. So those hours like so special. Those hours are so rare and valuable because that's completely what's going to turn you into a millionaire, those 4 hours. So you have to protect them. You can't have any outsiders, no distractions, no noise. And if you guys are living with your parents, you're getting distracted. It's a recipe for disaster. I know so many of you guys listening to this, you're arguing with your parents for 4 hours. Like, no, mom, I don't want to go to uni. No, mom, I want to drop out of school. Like, you can't do that. If you have to live with your parents for the moment, sit in your room and just block out the noise. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere. Because I remember spending so much of my time trying to convince my mum, like, yeah, mum, don't worry. I know I got kicked out of uni, but I'm going to be successful. I would have been so much better off just trying to find other people like yourself and just sitting and just working. Like, having a network of people around you is so, so important. You guys have each other. But imagine if you didn't have each other.
Yeah.
You could wake up at 11 a.m. You're like, you know what? I've already got a bit of money, go back to sleep. Or you know what, don't go to the gym today, it's easy. It's so much easier to do things when you have people around you.
Holding you accountable.
Yeah. Even when we're at the gym, it's like, right, we literally do this all the time. We just, every single set, we just do 1 extra rep.
Yeah, like
so
who benches more? Are you guys?
He'll do 12 reps, I'll do 13, 14, 15, 16, until like one of us hits failure, right? So it's even things like that. And when you mentioned about moving out with your parents, as we were speaking about this off camera, right? I think, again, young guys will probably be listening to this and watching.
It's not even just young guys, sorry bro. I was going to say, it's not even just really young guys. Even nowadays, 23-year-olds, 24, I won't call that young.
Yeah.
They live with their parents now because cost of inflation, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
you're absolutely right. So I think a lot of people need to understand this, that I think you need to understand, instead of looking at your parents as like a negative thing when they're trying to give you advice, it's like, oh, but they're trying to constantly like get me to do that or not get me to do this and that. All they're trying to do is obviously come from a protective, safe point of view. They just want the best for you. And from their point of view, how they've grown up, they're not used to this fucking, how you can start a business online, work from anywhere, put some money into crypto and 10x your money, etc. Right? That wasn't the fucking thing like 20, 30 years ago. So you got to understand that they are only wanting the best for you, which is the safe route, which nowadays there's nothing safe when it comes to like a 9 to 5. So you got to focus on your own self. So for me personally, I was saying this off camera, when I was like 18, I moved out into a house share. So rented a small little room for £400 a month. It was half the size of the studio, had a bed, and I said this on a previous podcast as well. And you said this yourself. After your 9 to 5, you got about 4 hours of that prime time where you've got to focus on yourself and build a business. And I realized this myself as well. So at that time, all I had was, other than like my table and my bed and stuff, I only had a skateboard, a PS3, and a TV. I sold all 3 of them. I bought an old MacBook for like £200. It was like a 2007 MacBook. And what that done is, it gave me a tool to make money with, and it got me rid of all my distractions. Right? Precisely. So now all I had to do, or all I could do, is just sit at home and work and focus on my business.
I completely agree with that mindset. I completely agree. And I was also going to say, it's not just that, again, I've not really heard people mention these points, but I try to sit there and think, okay, like, what is the best advice I can give you guys? Because when I was younger, if I had someone like me saying all this, I'd find it so useful. And the best advice I kind of came up with is, not only do you have like really only 4 or 5 hours and they're so precious you have to look after them, I think you only have 3 or 4 or 5 years. And I've not heard anyone mention this point, but I made a video about this on Twitter. I feel like you only have 3 or 4 years to get rich. And you know, a lot of guys online might say that to try and use urgency to sell whatever product they're selling. I say this in a serious point of view. Let's say right now, someone's 22 watching this and they think, I'm going to make money. I really believe I'm going to make money. The reason why I only think you have 4 or 5 years to pull it off, let's say before you're 27, is because if you're, back to that point previously, if you're in that middle category of people, you're not the work hard people like us made millions. You're not the play hard, like just guys chasing parties, chasing girls, going on all these vacations, having fun. You're in this middle boat of like, I'm working a 9 to 5 every day. I'm coming home, not really having the best family life.
But feeling like you're better than everyone.
But feeling like eventually you're going to be like, maybe for whatever reason, I just can't make it to this level like these guys. Whether it's maybe they're lying to me, they're not actually at that level. Maybe they just got given a bunch of money from their family. Maybe they're actually doing something dodgy behind the scenes. You're going to start doubting yourself. Like, maybe my mom and dad were right. Maybe I can't just make millions. Maybe these people from my school and university were right. Maybe it isn't meant for me. And eventually you're going to start doubting yourself and you're going to be like, you know what? I've spent 4 or 5 years of my 20s just basically slaving away and I have nothing to show for it. I think I'm better than these people, but I have nothing to show for it. If anything, these people have more to show for it. They have all this fun and these girls and these memories.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to start a family with a normal girl and just have a normal 9 to 5 and just accept that. And at least I'll enjoy my social life. At least I can have a dog, have a couple kids, and actually live my life. So I think you only have 3 or 4 or 5 years to actually pull it off and get rich, because eventually that doubt will become too big. Mm-hmm. So that's what I thought this when I was young, and I thought, okay, I need to really join these people over here. Otherwise, I'm going to start doubting myself. Yeah. To be honest, for me, I think I had such strong self-belief that I didn't think of it too much. The doubt only entered my brain for a couple seconds. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of my self-confidence just came from my dad. Like, he just always would tell me you could do anything. We'd see a tennis match on TV, be like, okay, the only reason Rafa Nadal is better than you at tennis right now is because he put more hours. And I was like, no way, like he's obviously talented at tennis. Like when I was a kid, like 8 years old. He's like, no, it's literally because he's put more hours. There's something called the 10,000 hour rule. Scientists have studied that if you put 10,000 hours into anything, you can become a master. I was like, no, that can't be true. It must be about talent. But then he just kept saying it to me over and over again. And I realized through examples in my own life when I studied hard and I got 100% in an exam, I was the only one in my class, let's say. I remember I was the biggest football fan ever. I've told this story many times, but I was the biggest football fan. Chelsea versus Manchester United, 2008 final. If you guys like football, you'll know this. And I wanted to watch this football game. Like for me, that was like the most important thing in the world, to watch the Champions League final. My mum and dad were like, no, you've got an exam tomorrow. It was an exam at 8 years old that meant nothing. I remember studying in the kitchen with my mum. She forced me to study. My brother and dad watched that football game. Because I sacrificed that football game, it's like a sign from God. I got 100% in that exam, the only one in my class. And I still remember that. That was 15 years ago. It's like a sign from God. It's like it was a proper proven example. When I study hard, I sacrifice something, I get results. Yeah. And I've got a lot of examples like that throughout my life. Like even like, typing. Mm-hmm. My mom forced me to do this typing course when I was younger.
Touch typing. I did the same thing.
Yeah, it was like 100 days in a row. You put stickers on your keyboard.
Yeah. I used to, there was like they'd put a thing over, it was like this thing at school that they make you do. And they put like a sheet over so you couldn't see, and you'd have to do it like out of memory, and there'd be like a word on the, like,
and it was just like 40 minutes to an hour every day. Every day I'd come back from school. I was like 9 years old when I did this, maybe 10. My mom would force me to do this typing thing. But then it became very fun. And at the end of the 100 days, you kind of just do this exam to test how good you are. And now I'm a very, very quick touch typer. Think about how much money that's made me in all the years. Like now I'm very quick at typing. People say, Hassan, how do you get so much done in a day? Part of it's just because I'm so quick at typing. So for me, I can do 5 times more messages.
So a lot of kind of your skills now, and obviously where you've got to, would you put that down to your parents? You having a big,
I really think that your parents make such a big difference to your life. A lot of people say things like, yeah, they had a bad upbringing, they've still become successful. I think it's like if you have a really bad upbringing or really good upbringing, that helps. I didn't come from money, but what it was is my dad taught me the importance of hard work. Like my dad passed away 7 years ago. He was only 55, but he was a doctor and he was very, very smart. His whole life he was very intelligent, but he worked in the NHS. We went to a private school. My brother and I, we did go to private school. But we didn't, like, my dad had a Renault, right? He was a doctor, but, like, he had a Renault. Like, all his money basically went to, like, me going to the school trips. I had everything I wanted in terms of, like, paying for school trips, paying for food at school, private school, me and my brother, his whole life. It's not cheap. And in the NHS, after taxes, maybe he had, like, 55, 60K a year take home, which obviously is still good, but my mum didn't work as well. So my dad was the kind of man, he didn't care about money, but he wanted to give my brother and I the best life. My mum never worked a day in her life. She just helped him with a couple emails and things like this. So I guess the biggest lesson I learned from my dad was just pure work ethic, just self-belief. So that's the biggest thing I took away. Like, I really believe you can do anything.
I think that's what it starts with, 100%. And you said this yourself, there's a massive difference between like I think self-belief, you have to, especially when you're starting out and if you're broke, you have to be to a level of delusion. Yeah. Because go on.
I don't think it's delusion though, bro. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, I really believe that if you work really hard at anything, you are going to make it. Any one of you watching this right now, if you have a 9-to-5 job right now, and you talk to a couple other ambitious people, just find someone. Find the guys like us when we were broke, because right now we're not going to talk to someone if they're completely broke. We're just too busy. That's the reality. But if you find guys like us, aspiring millionaires, aspiring individuals, right, and you keep them close to you, I know it's hard to find that. That's why I have an online community. You guys have a couple stuff as well, right? Keep those people close to you, you're going to be successful. I don't think it's delusion if you spend hours and hours working every day. I think it's an absolute certainty that you're going to become successful. The problem is when you let these play hard people and these distractors, these outsiders give you like all this noise, or even your parents. I say this a lot, like your mom. She loves you and she has the best intentions for you, but she's like a 52-year-old lady, let's say, for example. Yeah. Like if you saw a 52-year-old lady on the street, you're not going to trust her advice. They grew up in a different generation. Your mom's not made some online business. She's not made millions. Yeah. What does she know? She's not built a door-to-door sales team. She knows nothing about trading. She knows nothing about business.
Mine don't like me, so.
Your mom doesn't like you?
No, not really.
Because then you don't talk to her at all?
Not really, no.
Anyway,
that's sad, mate.
That's why I looked at you.
Just like a son.
Oh, right. I was thinking, what are you laughing about?
Oh, you said what?
That's why I looked at him when you were like talking about your mum and stuff. I was like.
Anyway, so the reason why I say delusion.
I was just gonna say, like, you know how I said earlier, like, I think the people who become really successful are the ones who come from a really good family or really bad. Yeah. But my family, I just want to repeat something. They weren't good in the sense of like start a business. My dad was just basically like, look, I'm a doctor. The reason why I was a doctor is because I studied for like tens and tens of years, basically his whole life. He never got a bad result in his exams because what would happen is, I'm sure you guys had this. Let's say you got 70% in an exam. Yeah. But let's say this top kid in the class is called Marcus. He got 80%. And I'd say to my mom and dad, I'll say to my dad, because he'd always ask me, he's like, who got the top result? And I'd be like, oh, this Marcus kid, he got 79. It's Marcus, right? Because they'd always ask me who got top. And I'd be like, oh, it's Marcus or this girl called Charlotte or whatever. But, oh, they got top result. It's like, okay, why do these people always get top result? I understand it's I understand it's a difficult exam because they didn't get 100%. Marcus only got 79. He's the top kid in the class. But why did you get 70? I'd accept it if Marcus got 79 and you got 80. Because it was a hard exam, the teacher was bad. Because I'll blame the teacher. When I was a kid, I'd blame the teacher. I'd blame the fact they were shit. I'd blame all these other things but me when I was a kid. It's like, okay, I understand it's a hard exam and you had all these excuses, but why did you still not beat Marcus? Why aren't you the best? Why did Marcus get 79? I was like, yeah, but that's Marcus. You know? I'd always just say like, yeah, but that kid's like really smart. But he was just always telling me that there's no such thing as that this kid's just really smart. He's just done more hours.
Self-accountability.
How much do you think natural IQ and intelligence comes into it? Because that's an interesting point there, because I completely agree with you. It's all about work rate, but I do think as well, because look, we've all met a lot of people. Yeah. It is pretty safe to say
we're smart.
But it's pretty safe to say that there are certain people who are just naturally have lower IQs than other people. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean if you have a low IQ you can't be successful. Because once again, I know people that aren't particularly the most smartest, but they're just work incredibly hard. How much do you think natural born intelligence, so with no outside influences, actually comes into it?
All right, I think I have a pretty interesting point. So. And let me know what you boys think. I think it's more about just practice and putting it into practice, right? So just to, and also this will tie back to when I said about the delusion, right? So it's all relative and everyone's different. But from my personal point of view, I immigrated to the UK when I was 10 years old. I could not speak English. No, not at all. Wow. In school as well, I don't have like any GCSEs. I didn't go to uni. I dropped out of college. And on top of that, I have a one parent, like it's just me and my mum. We have no fucking money, etc., right? So the reason why I said about delusional, by the way, and I'll tie it back to your question in just a second as well, because on paper, technically, I should not be anywhere near where I am right now.
Selling drugs in jail.
You get what I'm trying to say, right?
You have siblings?
Just 2 cousins in Latvia.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So the reason why I said about delusion, by the way, and again, I'll tie it back in just a second, bro, is because for me, I technically had to be delusional because on paper, and I agree with what you said as well, technically it's not delusion. Maybe delusion isn't the word, but that's just how I understand it, right? Delusion, and when I say delusion, in the sense that like, oh, you shouldn't, no way, but in my head, I'm like, I know I can. Right? And that's like, in my head, that's how I kind of understand delusion. So in my head, I had such 100% certainty that I was just going to make it. There's no other way, right? And tying back into what you were saying, I think for me, technically, like if I don't know my IQ, but technically my IQ probably wasn't the highest at that time because I didn't really focus on maths. I didn't focus on English and I kind of just went through kind of school and college and so technically I maybe wasn't like the smartest kid. However, I put my actions and practice into it because when I went home and I focused and studied on things that I wanted, which is psychology, sales, and business, aka like marketing, then all of a sudden I am smarter than the average person.
I agree. I guess it's what areas you focus on. Because with what I meant by IQ is obviously on IQ test, it's not like a school test. I don't know if you've ever done an IQ test. Like
I think I might have a line like
it's more like problem solving. So it's like okay, there's this pattern here. Can you see what will come next?
I get it.
So pattern solving and pattern
recognition. It's like I think it's something. So it's like a natural intelligence rather. Because obviously, I completely agree. So
I get what you're saying.
I wasn't meaning like school tests. Because obviously, school tests it's all subjective. Maybe you revise for one, you don't revise for another. You don't like this subject because you find it boring, but you love history, so you do really well in history, whatever. But I'm talking like natural intelligence. Do you think that surely it has to play a part? I think it does. Some people function quicker than other people.
Like all three of us, if we are building, let's just say one business, we have one project, and a problem happens, all three of us instantly have a solution of some sort. It might not be correct. I don't think everyone will have a solution, right?
So linking back to Conor McGregor, for example, right? Okay,
he's very high IQ as well. People don't realize that. You can tell he's very high.
Okay, so let's pick a slightly less. Okay, what's Sean Strickland, right? Yeah. Was Sean Strickland ever going to be a brain surgeon?
No.
Probably not. So, but on the flip side, he's become incredibly successful because he's applied himself to something that he knows he's good at and he's just gone 100% all in on that. You give him an IQ test, it's probably not going to be quite as high as other people. No hate whatsoever on Sean Strickland. If you are watching this, you're probably not. Don't want any of that. But you get where I'm coming from. So I think
the three of us could take him.
All at the same time. I think success more comes from you find something that you're good at and that you have an affinity with, and then you just go all in on that and you work really, really hard, because natural the IQ and bits and pieces like that, I don't think that's a direct receptor to how successful you're going to become, but it does play a part.
Here's a question, by the way, boys. I want you to answer it first, Hassan. Do you think to make money, especially when you're starting out, you should focus on something that you love and enjoy?
No, not necessarily. I think just do anything you can to initially get money and to understand business. I want to get onto that point in a second, though. I just want to answer that point about IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I'd say is to the viewers as well, or even to us, to you guys. Like, out of us three, who would you say has the highest IQ? The answer is, I don't know. I don't know. It could be you, could be you, could be me. The point is, I don't know. But all I know is we are all successful. And at the end of the day, who's going to be the most successful in 20 years? That just depends on who wants it the most and who actually wants to sacrifice this social life, this family time, this, and this to have a bit more money in the bank account. And whoever it is, if that's what they want,
it's about finding what you're good at. If you don't have the highest IQ in the world, maybe don't take up some incredibly intricate starting of an ads agency, because that's probably more suited to someone that does. But if you don't have a particularly high IQ, maybe go all in on something which is more simple. Okay, start a landscaping business and just get really, really fucking good at that. Hire more people and build a massive empire. It doesn't make any difference. It's just about finding something that you're good at and going what your skills are best suited towards, not necessarily what you enjoy.
I just don't think you have to be that intelligent.
No,
but I find as well at the same time, to kind of understand that it's just about hard work and discipline. You almost have to be intelligent to understand that. But if you're the kind of guy who's not that smart, but you're kind of like a robot in the sense of when you saw someone who was smart, you just listen to them, you're also going to be very successful. It's just usually dumber people, A, don't realize they're dumb, and B, they don't even kind of listen to these podcasts in general in the first place. So I'll say, if we're going to be talking just to our viewers almost, no matter what you think your IQ is, even if you think, oh no, I'm not that smart, Hassan, blah, blah, blah. If you're watching this, you're smart enough. Because if you're the kind of guy to seek out this information, I found that you're always smart enough.
I feel like if you're watching this already, you're already on the right path.
So you're smart enough. Maybe this person's this smart, you're this smart. But it doesn't matter because you're good enough. I kind of look at it like threshold. That. It's like, let's say I'm 6'8" and you're 6'6" and we want to be in the NBA. We're both tall enough. So that's not what's going to distinguish who makes it to the NBA. It's going to be
who's better at NBA,
who's actually training every day, eating well, who's not, who's avoiding the partying. But if you're 5'4", you're not going to make it to the NBA. So you have to be a baseline level, I think.
Yeah.
But that's you guys are all baseline level.
That's a good way of putting it, actually.
Well, I saw this online as well, where there's like essentially like a spectrum, if you want to call it, right? Here you have like quote unquote dumb people. Here you have like quote unquote smart people, and then you got people in the middle, right? Yeah. I think people in the middle are the ones that are the worst on the same when it comes to taking action, right? When it comes to taking action, because people in the middle are the ones that really think about everything. People that are quote unquote dumb, they're like, oh, I need to click it. All right, I'll just do it. And they actually take action, they make money. People that are smart, they analyze it and they think, does this make sense? All right, cool, let's do it, right? People in the middle are the ones that are like,
it's a scam, I have to think about it. But these dumb people, these like people here, let's say, right? Then it might not even necessarily be dumb. They just enjoy life and don't want as much, let's say, as us, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. They think, okay, I got to work hard. If I want a hot wife and live in that big house, I've got to work hard. So, okay, I'm going to study a few years to become an accountant. And if I want to be the best accountant and make the most money, I have to study really, really hard. They end up becoming successful lawyers or accountants or doctors. Then they have a hot wife. They have 2 or 3 kids. They live a great life. So like I said, these people, us, live a great life. These people live a good life. The people partying hard, they realize, okay, if I want to continue this partying when I'm older and have this fun and have these girls, whatever, I got to work hard, become an accountant, doctor, lawyer. These people will become successful. It's these people in the middle, the guys we were just saying, these 13-year-olds who drop out of school, they might start making 1 or 2K a month as a copywriter, but they just got maybe a slightly higher paying job if they make 3, 4K a month. Yeah. They're worse off than these guys and these guys.
Yeah.
So you guys watching this got to be careful that you don't fall into that category. Like, you got to go completely this way or just be a shit muncher and accept your position.
Yeah.
I really think that. There's no point being in the middle. Just go for the bigger money, or just be like a lawyer and just be successful and you'll be respected in society. Don't be one of these guys who makes 2.5K a month as a copywriter for 10 years and as a 30-year-old.
And at that point as well, you get so many problems in your life. If you're in the middle, right, and you're making like 2 to 5K a month, etc., but you're running your own little business, or it's copywriting, whatever it is, you got to understand that when you are a business owner, you have so many responsibilities and your stress level should be very fucking high. But people don't realize that. Again, if you, like you said, let's just say there's these group of people who are just working a normal job and they're quite happy with it. Bro, you got to realize that they don't actually have to worry about it all that much. Like, they just clock in, they clock out, they're all right. They go on a holiday here and there, they get a wife, whatever. Absolutely fine. I think that life is actually fairly beautiful. I sometimes speak to my friends from back home and I'm like, Damn, like you ain't got to worry about shit.
Every
bro.
day, you know, at this time you're going to be home, you can watch TV.
Yeah.
This time you wake up, you're going to be pretty healthy because you get the same 8 hours sleep every day.
Yeah.
You don't stress about much,
I
and
can't
stress
lie.
kills
I
you.
can't lie. When I was doing the night shift at Morrison's back in the day, I'd always on my way home, I'd like drive and get a McDonald's breakfast. Like on my way back, I used to look forward to that. That McDonald's breakfast categorically tastes nicer than any food I've eaten at any restaurant in Dubai. Not asked. Because you look forward to it throughout your shift. I'm looking forward to getting McDonald's breakfast on the way home. You drive there, you sit in your fucking polo, you slap a Sidemen video on your phone. It's simple. It's good, man. Like obviously, everyone watching this is gonna be like, oh no, that's definitely not true. You eat here, there, and everywhere. But there's an element of that which it's as you say, it's somewhat beautiful. There is a simplicity in the beauty of that.
But here's one last thing I'll say about this particular topic is the fact that it's if you don't want this lifestyle that all three of us have, then that's completely fine. I think that's amazing. You should focus on having a great 9 to 5, enjoying what you do, and that's fine. However, I think there is a problem if you are living this lifestyle and you want this lifestyle, then that doesn't make sense. It's one or the other.
In life, you're always miserable when your lifestyle doesn't meet up with your expectations. I could have millions right now, but if I tell myself I'm only going to be happy if I have 100 million and I don't have 100 million, then that's when you become depressed.
Yeah.
But I feel like in life, if you're always happy with what you got, well, then you're fine.
Being grateful.
If you're always
for
chill with where you got and where you're going, then you're fine.
Yeah.
I've always been happy because I've always enjoyed the journey and liked where I was going. Even when I was working this door-to-door sales job, yes, I was very angry. Yes, I couldn't sleep because I was broke. But I was still happy. I've always been a happy person. I think that's why I have been successful, because just as a kid, I was always I just found everything. I don't know. I was just grateful for everything.
Yeah.
I enjoyed I just enjoyed everything. Even when I was working my sales job, I just knew I was going to be successful. Like I said, I just knew. Like when I went to the Lambo showrooms, I'd go quite often. Yeah. Some people are against that. They're like, don't taste the leather before, don't smell the leather before you can actually afford it. I kind of think, like, it's good to travel and experience things.
Of course. Because it motivates. If you go somewhere and you can't afford it. It's that age-old one of where people, when I think it might have even been Iman that said it first. He was like, "Oh, like if you're gonna go for a coffee in an expensive hotel, spend an extra couple of quid and surround yourself with that." And I genuinely, I do.
Yeah.
I actually am. Yeah, I agree with what he means by that, because you're gonna see it, you're gonna experience it, and as soon as you start, feeling it in your own head, that's when you kind of know that you're destined for it. So I think that is definitely really, really important.
So the next topic, just before we wrap up, I want your opinion, because I think this is a very common myth that goes around online, is the whole, if you want to make money, you should focus on what you love doing and it's your passion and try and make money around that. My personal thing is the fact that, look, there are so many people around the world who are making millions. I'm talking about tens, if not hundreds of millions, selling fucking concrete or rocks or bricks or paint or tables.
It was like a waste management company. The guy that owns someone's private jet,
right?
Do you think he wakes up in the morning like, I can't wait to get them bins in the back of the lorry?
So that's just my personal thing, is I don't think you boys, because again, a lot of these guys, when I say young, I agree, maybe even up to like 25 years old, we're still young, in the grand scheme of things. I think a lot of you guys, you might hear this online where people say, like these rich, wealthy people, they say, my advice is focus on what you love doing and, be passionate about it. Yes, but when you're starting out, you just need to focus on making money. And when it comes to making money, there are certain things you might have to do that you might not wake up and love. Like my first thing, SMMA, I was working with fucking lawyers. Do you think I woke up and I was dead excited to speak to another lawyer today? No offense to lawyers, but I just never went to law school. I don't know much about it, nor do I care. But it made me a lot of money. And I knew that was just a period in my life where I had to focus on that, make a bit of cash. And then, like now, we're doing podcasts, which technically this is work, but this is just an enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about this kind of stuff off camera, but now we can use this and monetize it in some way. But also, it's just like, I feel like every business is kind of the same. Like every business, you have a product, and then you have traffic. You can replace the word traffic with eyeballs, with attention, with views. You can replace it with anything depending on the industry. And the product or offer or service or whatever, you can replace that with one of those words. You have a product you're selling, the thing you're actually giving the people, and then the actual people watching your website, looking at your landing page, looking at your leaflet through the door, whatever. Right? So you have a product, and then you have the actual people buying it. Every business is the same. Sales and marketing, those two things. You have the sales and marketing, and then you have the whole process of improving your product over and over again. So this microphone company right here, right? They obviously sold this microphone and they had marketing involved, but they also spend loads of time and money developing this microphone, making it better, constantly improving it. So let's say it stays the best in the market. I'm sure this is high quality microphones, right? Yeah. So this company, whoever owns this company, sat there with this team, sat there thinking, okay, we need to constantly improve this microphone, otherwise our competitors will start getting more and more market share. But then they also sat there and talked to their marketing team and thought, okay, we need to constantly run ads and constantly put this in front of other people. Maybe we can pay an influencer with 1 million views. Maybe we can pay Jake Paul to have these microphones. We'll give him a bunch of these free microphones and pay him X amount of money, because we know if Jake Paul has whatever this company is called, then everyone else is going to buy these microphones. Yeah. And then they start getting more market share. Now we start to use them, and then maybe you guys will buy this microphone, blah, 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 and it just spirals. So every business is the same. So I think the reason why it's not that important to chase your passions initially is because all you need is the lessons from the first business. Because the first business isn't going to be successful anyway, 99% of the time. It's going to fail. So just take those lessons from the first business, apply it to business number 2, number 3, number 4, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Hassan, women. Is there a woman in your life, or?
Yeah, at the moment I've been in a relationship for 7 months. So yeah, 7 months in a relationship.
How's that going?
Pretty good. It's not too much to say besides it's going pretty good. All I'll say is, yeah, when you have money, dating becomes a lot easier, because when you're poor, if you're poor, she has to get a job. You don't have complete control over her, basically. That might sound a bit crazy online. That might get clipped up. But yeah, when you have money, you basically have complete control over her, in the sense of like, she just revolves around your schedule. So it's almost like whenever I want to see her, there's not been one time in the whole 7 months where I've wanted to see her at a certain time. She's like, I'm busy today. Like, not one in 7 months. So I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's not too much to say. I don't talk too much about my personal life. I want to have kids pretty soon, though. So
yeah. How many do you want to have? Like a whole army, or?
Yeah, I want to have a lot. I want to have... I don't know. Let's start with the first couple and we'll see. But I want to have a lot. I know I want to have a lot.
Yeah. Have you given it much thought recently, or have you always been like this?
In terms of having a lot of kids, or you mean in terms of having them soon?
Kids.
I've always wanted to have kids, but how many, I'm not sure. That answer's kind of changed. Initially, it was when I was younger, it was like a few. Then it kind of went to like 20. Then now it's kind of like maybe a few. But then, I don't know. I really don't know is the answer. Yeah. A lot of people come online on podcasts and say, I want this, I want that. The answer is, I actually don't know. Mm-hmm. You know?
I think especially when it comes to things like that, it just changes. I think as when you get your first kid, it will probably be like, that's your fucking world. And then another one happens, you're like, maybe you should get another one, right? I don't know. None of us have kids, so we can't
I don't know
talk.
Because like, if say you want 20 children, but I also want to have a good relationship with my children, obviously. So if you have 20 or 10 or 15, are you going to have that same level of connection with all of them? Probably not. And then it's almost like a business operation. It's like staff you have to manage. You don't want as many staff as possible. I want to have as little staff as possible. So it's kind of like, why would I actually want to have that many children? Because I think so. One of the reasons why, the main reason why I've turned out really good in life is just because, I got raised well.
Your parents are really attentive.
Yeah, that
just
helps
you and
a
your
lot.
brother?
Just me and my brother.
Yeah.
So those 20 of us with different like mums and all this stuff, I don't know. It wouldn't be... I honestly don't know is my answer. I don't want to come online and say all these things like I know this and this. I don't.
But when it comes to relationships, by the way, bro, did you ever think, especially when you're starting out, that what was your thought and mindset when it came to like relationships and girls when you're just starting out? Did you look at it as almost like a distraction, or were you always in relationships when you're starting out? Did you think that okay, a girl could help me maybe cook or certain things and help me save some time?
I didn't think so much about the whole cooking thing and the whole cleaning thing and stuff. Like a lot of people use that as like my girlfriend's so useful because she cooks and cleans. But like, especially, we know how easy it is to like just get a maid.
Yeah.
It's better. I wouldn't even want my girlfriend just cooking and cleaning the whole time, because then it's like, it just takes away their energy for like other stuff, actually being positive and nice and all that kind of stuff. If she's just constantly tired from cleaning, but big house, so we live in big houses. I feel like it's a waste of time. You can just outsource it for $20-$30 a day. So I never really thought about things like that. I always knew that you could get a maid or assistant, and it's just better than having your girlfriend do everything. So I didn't really think about it like that. I kind of just thought it's good to have a girlfriend, because then if you're always chasing girls, going to the club, you're always on Tinder or DMing girls on Instagram, that's a time waste. So I always thought it was good to have a girl in that sense. But I didn't think it would be good to have a girlfriend from the cooking and cleaning perspective. I see a lot of guys on Twitter talk about girls are good because blah, blah, blah. They can cook for you, clean for you. They can help you. Like, girls can't really help me with my businesses and my problems. Not really. And cooking and cleaning, the maid can do it. The assistant type stuff, I already have a big team of people who help me with things. So not really.
I completely agree.
I think it's just good from the sense of like, you don't feel like you constantly want to chase a girl, because as a guy, you're just horny, basically. Yeah,
that's one massive thing that you don't have to focus and waste your energy on, right? Like you said it yourself, constantly talking on DMs and going on dates and da-da-da. Like, sure, you obviously take your girl on dates. I mean, as in, like, when you're trying to get laid or whatever, you might take a girl for a drink or a day just to then be...
It is fun, though. Like, it is fun, But like, if you're trying to hustle, you're trying to climb, it's a big time waste.
Yeah.
And I think the less you spend time going on dates, the more successful you'll be. But at the same time, I feel like it's good for memories and it's good for like just overall character development. Like I know a lot of people at home. The reason why I'm trying to keep my answer kind of broad is because I know a lot of people at home, they haven't really been on many dates. And if you haven't been on many dates, I think it's not cool to like become a millionaire, then just start dating. I think that's kind of weird. Like I think if I became rich and then I started saying, okay, now I'm going to focus on women, I'd be a different kind of guy. So I like a lot of my good memories are like dates I've been on when I was completely broke, and like I compare it to now. It's like how I check the price of things. Yeah, and I'll check the price of items back then, or like I'd be thinking like, okay, this bar's expensive. Go get a couple cocktails here, then go to another bar which is cheaper, maybe do shots and stuff. But I don't drink anymore, but I used to. There was a couple of years when I was drinking. And yeah, like you literally can't afford a couple cocktails even. That's expensive. So.
But this is how I looked at it when I was dead broke. I just thought, okay, well, I don't have money myself, barely enough to fucking pay rent and go out and just enjoy life myself, barely. Then what is the point of being in a relationship where I couldn't even fucking spend time with a girl other than just at my house?
It's what Lewis said on the podcast yesterday, because we did a podcast with McGarry. He was saying that he knows a lot of people that have that like small town relationship where like they both work in 9 to 5, they'll see each other and watch Netflix or maybe go to Wetherspoons on a Saturday, and that's like pretty much their relationship. And what he was saying is that he doesn't believe that like that's actually like true proper love, because you can't actually fall in love with someone if that's all you're doing and that's all your lifestyle consists of, which I do agree to an extent with.
But anyway, to reply to what you were saying, yeah, I mean that's just most people's life though. But I feel like you can't tell people you have to be rich to kind of fall in love. Like no, I think you can fall in love with someone if you kind of like of course you can, but it's not the same level. And what I would say, actually, this is what I'm gonna say. What I would say is, one of my exes was when I was in university. We were together for about 5 or 6 months. So we were together from like towards the end of the university year, and then towards like around when I got kicked out of uni. That's when like things just started falling apart and we broke up. And so yeah, about 5-6 months we were together. That relationship was completely different than my other relationships since then. I'm especially in my one now. Because in that relationship, I got kicked out of uni, but she was still in uni. At that time, I'm 20 or whatever. She was like 18, 19 or whatever. I'm not just going to say, yeah, like drop out of uni as well and join me in my door-to-door sales job, which I don't even know is going to pay me money. Like, what the hell, right? Obviously. But then it's like, okay, she's in university. She's on the campus. You know, you haven't got, like I said, you haven't got that complete control, right, of her life. So she's just living her normal life in university. She's like talking to her friends, and maybe those friends aren't good. Maybe those friends are drinking. They want to go out. So they're kind of just in a naturally bad environment. And because I was so focused on work, I just naturally started losing feelings towards that relationship. I didn't really care because I became so moody and angry and irritable that I wasn't in the position I wanted to be in life. Like she'd want to watch Netflix or she'd want to be in bed together. And like, I couldn't sleep. I literally couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to even like go near her. I didn't even want to speak to my friends at the time. Like I remember I was, at the start of, towards the middle of university in my first year, I said to a few of my friends at the time I had in uni, I was like, okay, we'll live together in the second year. Because in the first year, you're living in shared accommodation. Second year, you live in a house or something in the actual town, not in the uni accommodation. But I didn't know I was going to get kicked out of uni back then. So anyway, I thought, you know what? Instead of just cancelling on these guys, let me just at least live the first couple months in this shared house because it'd be a cool experience while I was working the sales job. So when I was there, it was like me and 4 other guys, right? There's 5 of us in total. And they were my friends. I liked them. I still have nothing bad to say about these people now. If I saw them, I'd love to see them. It'd be cool. But I just didn't even want to see them at the time when I got kicked out of uni. I started becoming so irritable and moody. Like they would finish uni and then go play on the PlayStation, Super Mario Bros or whatever. They'd have a couple drinks. They'd invite girls over. But I didn't want to do any of that. I became angry if I saw them play music, if I saw them play Mario Kart or whatever. The same things I'd do last year. Because now my situation's completely changed. All I wanted was making money. And I feel like the guys who become like that and they become so obsessed with just making money, they always make it. But the people who are like, oh, you know what? It'd be cool to have money. But like I can confidently say out the people I was living with, a couple of them will become rich. They're smart and they want to. But the other couple I'm thinking about, they'll never become rich because they're kind of like the kind of guys who are like, if I get it, it's cool. If not, it's whatever. Again, that's what they want out of life. They're happy. They live a less stressful life than me. They're fine. But I'm saying they're the kind of guys who will never get rich because they don't care about making money so much, you know?
I think those couple that you say that you know they're going to get rich, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the type of people that will most likely sacrifice a lot of things in order to get there.
Completely. And actually, it's funny because one of the guys I'm talking about, he was the one who told me about the door-to-door sales job. And he actually, not like me with the team, he actually built his own door-to-door, he built his own boiler company in general. So like he's doing very well with that. So yeah, he's doing very well with that, and he is doing pretty well right now. He's been making money. The others, I'm not too sure about what they're doing, but yeah, it's amazing what you can do with focused work. Because I was even on a call with him about 6 months ago. He was basically just saying to me like, "Yo, it's like you actually have these cars, like you bought them." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, for real, like you actually bought them." I was like, "Yeah, I bought them. Like, they're mine cash," and he just didn't believe it. He was just shocked because of how much progress I made. And it's like when you put your head down for such a long period of time, and you don't look up, you just literally blinders on, blinders on, right? You stay focused for such a long period of time. You kind of look up around everyone like, I've lapped everyone.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. Like it still hasn't really sunk in now, and it might sound like on a podcast we're arrogant, but it's not arrogance. It's just I work so hard to be in this position. If anything, I think it takes extreme humility every day. At the moment, I'm not where I want to be, but I know the only way I'm going to get there is hard work. I think it's more arrogance that I want this guy's life, that guy's life, but I'm not going to work that hard for it. I lost so many hours of sleep. I was so stressed trying to get to this position. Like, you wouldn't believe it. And we were talking about genetics and upbringing. Like, I have a younger brother. He's 1.5 years younger than me. So he's older than you, right? But he doesn't think the same as you about business. Well, now he does because he works with me, he lives with me. But before, he was the kind of guy who was happy to have a 9 to 5. He didn't care about money. Like, he thought if you make 50K a year, 100K a year, that's more than enough. Now he's like, we should start making 100K a day. That's what he wants. Because now he's seen the possibilities. He would have never been the guy to start a business. Like, I think some people are genetically different. No, they're just wired to want different things.
Sometimes
my younger brother, he goes to university in York and he's studying like biomedicine. He just wants to be like a scientist. So I think some people are hardwired into it or not, to be honest. Because obviously we both had the same upbringing. So
well, I think also some people, they just need their eyes opened in such a way and then they can't go back. So to give you an example, I flew out one of my friends that I went to school with back from when we both used to live in his council estate, right? He still lives there, absolutely, great guy. And I went to UK like 2-3 months ago. I met him, and anyway, I come back to Dubai, and then I was like, you know what? I want to get one person who I've known from school. I'm just going to fly him out, show him the life, of Dubai and how we live, but then also teach him about business and etc. Bro, he flew. He didn't ask me, by the way, for context. I offered to him, and he was like, "What? A free trip to Dubai? Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll come." And I'm like, "Right, sweet." Got him the tickets, flew him out here. He was here for nearly about a week or so, and showed him around everything. We got the Lambo, we got the Rolls Royce, showed him all the luxury restaurants, But then more importantly, I showed him about what I do and how much I make and how I do it, right? And after he went back, and by the way, again, for a bit more context, he had no intention of wanting to live this lifestyle. Sure, like he's a guy, he likes cars and stuff, but he was never a case of like, I really want to live like you, right? It wasn't a case of that. But then after he went home and after he experienced all this, he is non-stop messaging me, and he's actually running a business now. He's actually got a couple clients, right? And he said after he went back, he was like, bro, even when he was here, he was like, bro, I cannot go back to like living like that. I need this now, right? And I think for some people, they need to see it with their own eyes and experience it, because it's different seeing it online and hearing, etc. But when you experience it and you're with next to that guy who is currently doing it, and you get to feel it and you see it with your own eyes, it's for a lot of people, that's what they need, And
that's why I think traveling and putting yourself out there is so important. Like a couple of my cameramen have said the same thing. Like we've been traveling the world, whether we're in Miami or whether we're just in Dubai, going to certain places. Either we're around girls or we're just around expensive cars or watches or whatever, and they sit there and think to themselves like, or they say to me, they say, this is amazing, this is crazy, like, and like you can just see almost their brain turning in the moment.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
and it's like, like it's not necessarily like we said before about the IQ. Maybe their IQ's higher, maybe my IQ's higher, but who knows? All I know is if you experience a certain thing and you see it for yourself and you believe it's possible, then it actually is possible. Yeah. It's just a case of believing it's possible. Yeah. Because the people I just said now in my uni house who kind of, I don't think they'll become successful, they also have less self-belief than the other two I'm thinking about. The other two I'm thinking about, like one of them was like a model and he used to take the gym very seriously, and like he's seen the importance of hard work and how it's translated to his life. Everything he's wanted, he's kind of just applied it. He built like a decent Instagram following and all these things. I think he built a following up of like 40k followers. And back at the time as well, I remember thinking like, whoa, 40k followers. And now on Twitter at the time of this podcast, maybe I'm on like 110 by this point. I'm on like 100 right now. And it's like, it's crazy. That's what I'm just saying about like, if you just apply yourself and you work hard, you can kind of achieve anything. And he was just posting a lot, and like I remember he was like really obsessed with growing his Instagram. He'd be at the gym, but then he'd tell himself, okay, I need to get a picture of my Instagram. I was like,
never understood it at the moment. Yeah.
Like, this is interesting. Like he really takes his Instagram like seriously. Yeah. But he'd get like he'd get paid, let's say, to take a couple photos for like 3 or 4K. For just taking a couple photos, and he'd use it on his Instagram and it'd be good for girls and all this stuff. And I thought this is cool. Like I always just got inspired when I saw someone do well. Yeah. I never thought like, oh, like I never ever like I'm never ever the person to get like envious of someone. Like I know a lot of people talk about that, and I've heard this from a lot of people, including my parents, and there's a lot of people Like, people don't usually admit to being envious of someone, but a lot of people actually are. But I've always, maybe it's just my upbringing, and that's just luck, I guess, because I had good parents. But I never was the kind of guy to get envious. Only maybe a couple times in my life I was like, like, you can be jealous. Jealous is like, I want to kind of do what they've done. But envious is kind of like, you know, that feeling in your...
It's more of a negative. I
think.
think.
It's like a negative. I've just been like positively inspired. I want to be where he is.
Yeah.
Never envy, because I always just... I think when you're... There's like a famous like Chinese proverb or something that says envy is a declaration of inferiority or something. Like, you're declaring that you're inferior to that person. And I never saw myself as inferior to someone, because like I said, my dad constantly brainwashed me into basically, you can be better than Nadal at tennis if you train hard enough. You can beat Lewis Hamilton in a race if you trained hard enough. You know? Now, the whole point is some people have natural talents. I'm not going to beat LeBron James at basketball because I'm not 6'9". But the point is naturally I wouldn't like basketball because naturally I'm not, you know what I'm trying to say? And I grew up in England.
Not well suited to it. Yeah.
But things that I am suited at, I think I could be the best. So that upbringing is so important. But yeah, I never felt envy. And if you never feel envy, you understand that you can do anything with your two hands. You truly can do anything. And if you think you can do anything, you usually can.
Yeah, it all starts here. It absolutely does. And I think what I'm noticing as well with you, bro, and every single person that we've had in that seat so far, is you realize your strengths and weaknesses early on. I think a lot of people are, again, using the word like delusional, where they think, and in a good way and a bad way, right? Like, I think a lot of them might think that there's nothing that they're good at. I hear that all the time. All the time I get messages like, yeah, but I'm not good at this. I'm not good at social media.
Everyone's good at everything.
Right?
Right?
Yeah. There's always going to be something. Maybe you are a little bit more creative than the average person. Use that to your advantage, right?
How would you use that skill? So, for example, let's say I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm one of these guys at home. Okay, bro, I think I'm good at art. I'm good at creativity, but like, I'm not good at making money. So how do I make money?
Okay, let's just use that example as like creative, right? Like, first thing that comes to my mind is like little things, a thumbnail creation. And again, we spoke about this on a previous podcast with Bouncer. I know it wasn't Bouncer, it was McGarry. We're talking about networking. And we're talking about how a lot of people, when they're starting out, when it comes to networking, they just want to ask. Let's go for a coffee, but they have nothing to offer, right? So to tie it back to what we were just talking about there, about thumbnails, if you're very creative, and sure, maybe you don't know about graphical design on there, but you can learn that on YouTube. That's how I learned. I just learned YouTube, editing, Photoshop, etc. So if you just use your creative mind, but then you learn how to do graphical design, you just go to all of your favorite YouTubers, maybe not the kind of KSIs and Logan Pauls, because they're not going to see your fucking email, but somebody who's at around like 10 to 100,000 subscribers, you can reach them fairly easy, whether it's them directly or their management, pretty easy. And you just create free thumbnails. What the fuck have you got to lose? You're a very creative guy in this example, right? Just create free thumbnails, download photos from them or screenshot photos of their Instagram, whatever, create an awesome thumbnail and just create like 5 for each person. You create 5 for 50 different YouTubers. 50 is a lot, to be fair, but even if you do 10, I guarantee you at least 1 or 2 of them will get back to you and go, do you know what? I actually like that. And all of a sudden you start working.
Someone did that in my private group. So my private group, New Money, one of the guys, his name's Elijah. He reached out to me 100 days in a row. I didn't even realize it was about 100 days.
Yeah.
Just sending me short form clips, like 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And he said like in total it took him like 3-4 hours a day. So this guy invested 3-4 hours a day, right? Sending me all these clips for literally 100 days in a row. Most of the time I wouldn't reply to this guy because like I get so many messages. I almost didn't realize it was every day, but then I kind of realized it was actually every day after a while. So what the fuck? Like, this guy keeps sending them.
Yeah.
And now like I'm working together on some stuff with him, and he told me he's 18 years old and he works in UPS at the moment. He makes about $500 a week working at UPS. Now I'm actively trying to find him a good role and kind of give him more than $500 a week. Like, we're working towards it, right? But the point is like a lot of people might think that's crazy doing that much outreach, but it's like it's not. Like, this is your chance of financial freedom. Like, you have to put in years and years of graft to get to where you want to get to. And all he's done is 100 days in a row of, okay, he's working his UPS job. Why not in the evening just sit there? And also, you know what he's done? Let's say I never hired him. Let's say we never worked together. He's still become much better at making short form content.
Practice, yeah.
So he's honed his skills. He's worked on his craft. He could have just become a YouTube.
I was just going to say, and he's built a portfolio now as well. Because even if for worst case scenario you don't work with him, he's now got so many things to showcase to other people that he wants to work with. I'm sure you get this all the time as well. Whenever somebody messages you about, hey, I can do this thing for you. At least my always response is, if I do see your message and a reply, is just send me results and case studies. That's the only thing that I obviously care about, right? And a lot of the times they're like, oh, well, I'm just starting out. However, I can do the first one for free. My friend, I really appreciate it. However, you should just do that. Don't tell me, just do it. Not for me, I don't care, but for somebody else. You know what I'm trying to say? You'll have a way better chance of getting hired and actually working with somebody if you just do it. Don't fucking ask them, especially if you know they're very busy and successful. Just do it. Just take time out of your day. There were so many times when I first started, again, just for a bit of context, my first ever thing was content creation, right? I would do like videos and photos for local businesses. Now, before I started doing it for local businesses, I would do it for the local rappers who, you know, in my scene where I grew up, like in the little council estate. I would just do free music videos because one, I enjoyed it anyway. I enjoy music. I enjoy watching music videos, like rap videos. And they were just my friends, you know, I just done it for free. And that's how I started. And then when I started reaching out to local businesses, such as car dealerships, I done it for barbers and stuff like that. I was like, hey, here's what I've done. Granted, it's not quite like an advert for a barbershop, but here's my editing and look what I can do. And they were super impressed.
Because so little people actually outreach the proper way, so when someone does it properly, like, well, this is refreshing. And that shows you it's so easy to win because so little people are trying. Like, I get sometimes DMs on Twitter. I get a lot of DMs on Twitter. People with 21 followers, no profile picture, and they send me a generic message like, hey, bro, I can work for you. Just let me know what I can do for you. There's like so many reasons. Yeah, I'm sure you can find.
Oh my God, we literally had one yesterday. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, like there's so many DMs exactly like that. And there's so many reasons why I wouldn't hire someone based on that. Because it's like...
I remember that.
So sorry to interrupt you, but we literally got this message yesterday, right? It says, hey Marcus, I've seen a few of your TikToks recently, and personally, I think the value you provide is immense. All right, nice. But I think if you had a paid course, you could make a lot of money. If you're interested in this opportunity, shoot me a DM, blah, 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 blah. My friend, so you clearly didn't pay any attention.
Yeah,
you know
that's the worst. When people are like, bro, I love your content so much, and they don't even follow you.
Yeah.
It's like, let's say you don't love my content, you're just saying it generically. Okay, at least follow me to play the game. Don't like just completely get caught out on your lie. That's just stupid. But yeah, the point is that they have 21 followers, no profile picture, nothing. And then they kind of outreach. And it's like, I don't even know what you look like. You haven't even told me what you can do. So now I have to find you a job. It's like, even right now I have a guy doing
It's arrogant, actually.
Stupid arrogant. And it's entitled more so.
Yep.
I have a couple guys right now doing something. I'm not even going to mention what it is, but the reason why they got in this position is because they completely did everything for me and kind of came to me with this whole proposition. And I didn't have to think about it at all. I was like, you know what? Like, it's hard to almost say, this is good. Like, why not? And it's kind of like a commission basis. So I thought, I'll accept it. And the point is that I would never sit there and think, if they DM me saying, we could do this for you, I'd be like, nah. Because I have to think about it. And all this. But they put it, like, they showed me everything and they made it so crystal clear. They know I'm busy. They followed up a lot of times. They kept sending me free stuff to then do this thing I'm talking about. I was like, it's so hard to say no to this. So you want to put it on a silver platter for people where it's hard to say no. Whereas you guys, a lot of you, you do outreach and you make it so easy to say no. I can't see your face. So if you want to work with me, right? And I can't even see your profile picture, like, what are you hiding? I don't want to work with people who are scared. But at least, let's say you have no profile picture because you're some anon boss, right? Doesn't exist, but let's say. At least have 50K followers because you're so good at copywriting and you've built this brand of like, you're some genius copywriter. Why have you got 21 followers if you're so good at copywriting or ghostwriting? People say to me, Hassan, I can write your tweets. Then you can focus more on your other stuff. I have 102,000 followers. You have 21 followers. And I write all my tweets myself and I like doing it myself. It takes me 10 seconds to write each tweet. Why would I hire you and pay you money to write worse tweets when you have 21 followers? You're clearly not good. Now, let's just say you're spending too much of your time working for the client. Okay, just lead with, I manage this guy's account, this guy's account, this guy's account, this guy's account. You're friends with them, I think. Oh, you know, Marcus and Harry. Like, I write their tweets, for example. I know you guys write your own tweets, but let's just say I write your own tweets. I write their tweets. You guys know them. I've seen you do a podcast together, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, oh, interesting. Okay. Then I might message Harry and Marcus and be like, oh, is this true? Blah, blah, blah. I've actually had a couple people reach out to me and they say, oh, you know your friend, this guy and this guy. And then I've asked them. Oh, sorry, it's the other way around. They told my friend, yo, we've worked with Hassan before. And they know that I only work with people in my network, so they know it's a lie. They've messaged me. I'm like, this guy's just chatting nonsense. It's not true. He's like, oh, okay, I'll block him. But at least that was worth the try. I'm not saying you should do that. But I'm saying like that level of like thinking of like, okay, he has more chance of responding if I've spoken to his friend. But then actually just work with their friend. And then you create this network. Like imagine someone did a service for you. This is the thing. People are scared to do outreach and they're scared to just give you value. If I was someone at home right now, I'll be thinking, okay, let me just give Marcus so much value. Because if I completely make Marcus like me, he can change my life in many ways because then Harry will like me. And if Harry likes me, then maybe Hassan will like me. And then Hassan has a big network as well. Before you know, I might get 20 clients just because I like Marcus like me. So you might think, oh, it's a lot of effort to put into just Marcus. He might say no. But if he says yes, you get 20 clients potentially. And worst case scenario, you've improved your experience, you've improved your craft. And also, I always say, like, what's the alternative? Oh, it's going to take time to build a YouTube channel. What's the alternative? The time's going to pass anyway. Oh, it's going to take time to get clients. What's the alternative? You stay broke. Oh, it's going to take time to get inbound leads. What are you going to do? Outreach forever? Like, it's better to get inbound leads than outreach.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to just sit there and say, the time's going to pass anyway. I might as well use this time. That's why, like I said, back to that point. This is such an important point. There's 3 categories: millions, no man's
middle.
land, and play hard. And I sat there and thought, the time's gonna pass anyway. I'm gonna be absolutely depressed because I was the kind of guy. Whenever I saw people more successful, like in London, coming out of Harrods in the Aston Martin, they got the girl, they got the Lambo. I always just cringed and thought like, I couldn't imagine that not being me. I always just thought that's sick. That's me. Like that's me.
Yeah, same.
Like, I could never imagine thinking that guy's like better. Like, and now like I don't remember the last time I saw someone get out of a car and thought he's cooler than me. Like literally, like never.
Yeah.
I can't remember that time. So like now I just see myself as the top in all situations because even though I'm not the richest, we like to think of ourselves that our trajectory is the impressive part. It's not about where you are, it's about where you're going. People look at me and think, oh, Hassan, you're successful. But I'm sure I'm going to be a billionaire within 10 years. So like, I know my trajectory. I'll be a 34-year-old billionaire. That's how I see myself. So then it's like, I'm already at the top. You know what I'm trying to say? And if you guys are watching this right now, you're working a 9-to-5 job, you're living in your parents' house. Maybe you're not a millionaire, but you know you're going to be a millionaire within 2 years. So technically you're a millionaire. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Like we, let's say, have X million, but we're going to be very successful, not just X million. Because there's people at 55 years old, 55 years of age living in Texas who've worked their whole life, invested in stocks. They have a few million, let's say. But we're richer than them. A, because of cash flow, and B, because of our trajectory.
Yeah.
It's all about trajectory.
And age and time.
Would you rather have $1 billion at 75
I was about to say this.
or $1 million at 24?
Million, 24
Was it? I think it was you tweeted it, but I actually experienced this myself at the Dubai Mall as well. About you saw.
Oh wait, I have more than $1 million. I just wanted to say it for example.
I was at the Dubai Mall, and I drove there with the Rolls Royce, and I saw a GT3 RS. You know, at the Valet, the fashion district, whatever.
Yeah,
and I saw this GT3 RS blacked out windows, and I was just like in my Rolls Royce looking at it. I was like, that's so sick. Can't wait to buy one. And I was just staring at it, right? And then this older gentleman got out, I don't know, maybe like 45, 50 years old. And then obviously I didn't say anything out loud, but in the back of my head, it just was like, it's like,
well,
it doesn't, it's like, I expect you to have that, especially in Dubai.
Well, I will say, in defense of the old people, right, this is actually a good point. I don't hear enough people talk about it because I completely agree with what you're saying. But the only thing is that same guy, 45-year-old, he could have had money from 20. He's just been...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No.
So there's also the flip side.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. When I say this, by the way, just to clarify, it wasn't a case where I was like, oh, fuck him. Like, oh, yeah, you're 50. Like, what I'm trying to say is, in my head, I just had this imagination of, like, just some young, cool guys about to get out, or might even talk to him whilst I'm going into the Dubai Mall. Which, by the way, I could have still spoken to him. But the point I'm trying to make is, and you asked the question as well, it's so much better in all realms when you're young, in your early 20s or early 30s.
He's 21.
Right?
Like, even him, he's 21. You're 25 and 24.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being 25 and 21.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and 24. Like, 21's really young.
Yeah.
So it's like every year that you do it younger is even better. It's more impressive. But also, I will also say, I think it's becoming easier and easier to make money at a younger
Absolutely.
age.
Of course.
So like nowadays, I know 17-year-olds with millions.
Yeah,
But when I was 17, like, I don't think there was a single person who was a million self-made. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
Literally,
Really.
yeah. It's becoming more and more prevalent for sure.
So it's like in the future, 21-year-olds will be seen as like, yeah, a lot of people have millions.
So if we're talking about this, and we all three agree right now, more than ever, it's been easier to, maybe not, I guess easier, but I was going to say more simpler. I think there's a big difference between simple and easy, right? I think simple is, okay, do this, then do that, then do that. If you just repeat these 3 things, you're going to make cash. I think that's simple. I think easy is, I can log off for the rest of the day, right? So I think there's a big difference. I think more right now has been simpler than ever before to make cash and start a business. So if we all 3 agree, and I think most people would probably agree online, then fucking act now. Stop waiting. I don't get it. I don't understand it. There are so many people, you've probably experienced this as well. How many times do you know somebody, maybe not like your friend, but it's just like somebody that you know, right? You speak every now and then. How many times do you fucking speak to somebody where they're in X place in their business and you speak to them and they're like, yeah, so, you know, this year I'm going to do this and start running paid ads and I'm going to do this. And you speak to them a year later and, oh, so what you been up to, bro? How's business? Yeah, so I want to start paid ads this year. And motherfucker, it's been a year.
You guys. That's what I like about these guys. They apply things quickly. Even when I first met them, back to that point about like, asking instead of just giving. Like I remember that first dinner we had in Hookabaz, you guys were giving me a lot of game on a certain topic, and I thought, yeah, that's interesting. These guys are trying to help me. They're not just asking me for things. They're not asking me for whatever, right? They were just giving me value. So, and also, I just saw that they were applying things with speed. We were at dinner. You know, Harry he just sat in my car basically and did a call. He had a call to do. You know, like he just does things. Like he doesn't think so much. I like people who just do things without thinking because you don't need to think so much. We didn't plan this podcast. You know, maybe we spent 2 seconds before this podcast. They asked me, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And I said, no, I don't really care. Just talk about whatever. Worst case scenario, if we just start talking about absolute nonsense and we're waffling, okay, just cut it out, no problem. You don't need to think so much. Worst case scenario, we'll have 2 people enjoy this. Best case scenario, we have a couple thousand enjoy this. And I think that's still a positive ROI.
Of course.
Because then you learn from this, you can make it better. It's just that action is so beautiful and therapeutic, and people just don't.
Just got to do stuff. That's the problem.
Can I just say one thing, by the way? This is why me and Harry work so fucking well together.
How did you guys meet?
So initially it was just Instagram. So I just started following each other. I recently had moved back from Spain to Manchester. I didn't know anybody, and I think he just randomly popped up to my Instagram. He was living this cool lifestyle, so I just dropped him a follow.
I was surprised. I thought because we had this conversation. It was actually you that messaged me, because I thought initially it was like a VA.
Oh, right, yeah. No, it was actually me.
Yeah.
Because I had followed him and then like whatever, didn't message him, whatever. And then it was like a month or 2 later, he just posted a picture of Central C, or like was there with him. And I just popped up, swiped up, and I messaged him, how the fuck do you know Central C? Because I was quite a big fan of his music, right? And long story short, we then met. That same day, we booked a trip to Albania. And then like 2 days later, we flew to Albania, like after knowing each other for like 24 hours. But anyway, that's how we met. And what I was going to say, the reason why me and reason why we got into business together straight away is because I realized certain things where he would benefit for me in terms of business, and I would benefit him in certain things of business. So one of the biggest things, and this goes back to the conversation we're just talking about, which is action, just not thinking about it too much, just doing it. So before I met Harry, I still am to an extent, one of these people where I really like to, almost like a perfectionist, right? So before I release something as a product or a service, I really analyze everything and try and think of 100 different scenarios on what could go wrong, and I try and come up with solutions before I release it to the public, because I want to make sure that whenever I release a service or a product, it's the best that it can be. And the customers are super happy because I'm thinking about longevity. But it comes to a stage where you just need to fucking release it and then get real life feedback and then improve it. So what Harry really, really helped me with, and this is when we started first working on Aura together, etc., was our first online product. I think it was about the webinar. It was about the webinar as such, right? Yeah. I had, you know what a webinar is, by the way? Yeah. So I had created like this online training that I recorded and put all the slides together, etc. And it was ready. All I had to fucking do was press live and go live and do it in front of like 200-300 people. But I just kept fucking procrastinating for maybe even a month and a half, right?
Yeah, it was long.
And what I was doing is I was just like re-editing the slides, trying to make it a little bit longer, certain parts a little bit shorter, then re-editing the emails. Everything was ready to go, but I just kept fucking delaying it, right? And then Harry was like, right, bro, listen, let's just do it. Let's just launch it, right? Everything is done. Is this done? This, yes. Right, let's just do it. Launch it. We launch it, and granted, you know, maybe it wasn't as big of a success initially on day one. However, at least we launched it, and then we started slightly adjusting
we reap the rewards from that for a long while.
Massively,
so.
Right?
That's the thing. That's why I'm always talking about the importance of networking. Because if you don't have another person to basically check you and be like, stop overthinking. Yeah. It's easy to overthink.
You can spiral on that quite quickly. Because it's momentum. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you're taking too long on one thing, and it ends up getting to the point where you spent a couple of months releasing it, and no one gives a fuck anymore because someone else has released it before you. So it's always like you've got to take time into account with everything that you do, because there's always going to be someone else who in the background who's going to try and overtake you. So.
And I think it's just. I think it's just massive entitlement to think that people care about you that much. Like, that's for me. People say like, oh, we're arrogant, or people with money are arrogant. I think it's actually the opposite. I think it takes humility to be like, I ain't shit. And actually the biggest thing that those people close to me know this. Like, if you ever want to motivate me, I tell my friends, almost like just text me saying there are 8 billion people in the world. Like, that motivates me a lot for some reason, because it just makes me feel so small in this. I like feeling small in a massive ocean.
I like the videos where it like zooms out from a house and it zooms out.
I love that. I love that.
Planet, solar system.
My favorite shit.
Because like, we're so obviously, you know, people watching us now, that's great, but we're so fucking meaningless as humans. I mean, every human that's alive now will be forgotten in 100 years.
Even the important ones. Yeah. Even the
look at the
billionaires.
The Queen. Yeah, that's a fucking the Queen. Who talks about her anymore?
Royalty, right? She's the Queen of England, like
one of the most powerful people in the modern day fucking age.
One of the most famous people on the planet, right? It's like when Cristiano Ronaldo retires from football, okay, a lot of people will miss him playing football, but then people just move on. Look at Kobe Bryant. He had everything.
Shit, yeah.
Best basketball player,
legend,
millions, family. Okay, besides his wife, besides his kids, his daughters, no one else is really every day hurting because he's died.
Life just moves on.
And that's not like a bad thing. It's just life. Like, you know, Joe Aesthetics, I use this example a lot. There's this bodybuilder called Joe Aesthetics. Right, 9 million followers or something on IG.
I remember that, yeah.
30 years of age. He was in his prime, probably making millions a year from business. Very good personality, humble guy. Everyone loved him. Everyone in the bodybuilding industry loved him. He passed away about 6 months ago. Besides me, I feel, because I keep using this as an example to kind of make this point. No one talks about him, and he had millions of followers. So if you don't, even if you get millions of followers, no one's going to talk about you. And if you don't have millions of followers, which very, very few people ever do. No one cares.
So the lesson within that, by the way, and I'm sure this is why we're talking about it, the lesson within that, and this is how I use it, is the fact that because nobody cares, right, to an actual extent, just do it anyway, right? Because I think a lot of people, they don't take action, especially when it comes to social media and putting themselves out there, it's because they're worried about the feedback, the negative comments, the negative messages. What are their parents going to think? What are their friends at school going to think? And so on, right? Everybody's going to have an opinion, right? Everyone's going to have an opinion no matter what you do. If you donate 100 grand to a charity, there's going to be majority, hopefully, positive comments, etc.
Probably not.
Probably not. There's 100% going to be negative comments as well.
Why don't you donate 150, bro? You make millions a year. Why not?
So because that is inevitable and that's just fucking life, just do it anyway. Like, just do it. Just go for it. So right now is the best time to take action because it's more simpler right now than ever to make money online. Everyone's always going to have an opinion anyway, whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't fucking matter. Matter of fact, the bigger you get, the more feedback you're going to get, right? And also, if you're not getting any negative feedback right now, it's just simply you're not doing enough. You're just not at the stage enough yet, right? Did you get that, by the way? Like, whenever you first started getting some negative
feedback? To be honest, like, people ask me this question a lot, and I say to them, like, I never really had, like, you know how people, like, old friends reach out to you, like, oh, you're doing so well on this. Like, no one really reached out to me. No one really, like, hated on me. Very, very few. Because I think if someone kind of reached out to me saying, oh, bro, you do, like, I would kind of just laugh at a lot of people. Like, I was the kind of, because people know my personality. Like, I'm not passive aggressive. Like, if I have a problem, I just say it how it is. So people know I'm the kind of guy, I'll be like, bro, fuck you. You know, you're the kind of guy who's saying, no, I wasn't going to become successful, so fuck you. You know? Like, that's kind of my personality. So it's like, I was always telling people what it was going to be. So now that I've done it, people are probably kind of intimidated and scared. Like, okay, he did what he said he was going to do. Yeah. All right, like, I can't really be like, oh, bro, can you give me a job? Like, they know better. I only have one friend. I've been friends with him 10 years. Like, I'm a loyal person, but it's just everyone else, they just couldn't keep up. Yeah. And I'm not going to be friends with everyone. You can only have so many friends. I think you're fake if you have too many friends. But yeah, I have one friend. He's seen me a couple times here in Dubai. But then everyone else, I would spend my own time getting on a call with these people. I remember in my door-to-door sales job when I sat in the Volkswagen Polo, I was like, oh, I can't be asked to go knock on doors. I'd call a couple of my friends from uni. I'd call a couple of my friends from school on the phone. I'd be telling them, like, yo, we need to get rich. We need to do this business. We need to travel. We can start posting content. We can do this. We can do that. Like, all these different ideas I had. And everyone would say they want to do it. But then tomorrow would come around, like, oh, bro, I got to go walking with my girlfriend and walk the dog. I was like, bro, like, just temporarily, just like, fuck the dog for a second. Like, I thought you said you wanted to get rich. Like, are you going to marry this girl? Like, if not, why are you putting her above your career? Yeah. Like, women are always going to be there. This girl, you didn't even like her at the beginning. Now you just want to spend all your time watching TV with her. Like, a lot of friends I lost just because of they're just too comfortable. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have people kind of reaching out to me and kind of switching up. People kind of just knew better. But what I will say is, I did have a couple of people I used to tell them to fuck off. But a couple of people who I used to know in school, who, like, I found from my day one friend, he told me, like, a lot of people would basically kind of just, they saw a couple of my videos online, like, oh, look what Hassan's doing, blah, blah, blah. When I wasn't as successful as now. Like, oh, what's this guy doing, da, da, da. Maybe they didn't understand what my game plan was. But yeah, it just doesn't matter. And that can also tie into the conversation which we were speaking off camera about networking and who you surround yourself with. So I'm the same. So I've said this numerous times online, is the place that I grew up in was a council estate. So all my friends were either selling or doing drugs. And I was like, right, well, I don't want to do either of them. So I want to focus on my business. So what I done, first of all, I moved out of my mum's house. Again, I think we kind of touched on it earlier. I was living in a little house share, £400 a month, little bedroom. It was absolutely horrible. However, I was away from all of that environment, both my mum being negative and pessimistic, in the sense that she would just always consume news and then she would talk to me about it. Bro, right? I forgot about that point. Right? I've not mentioned that probably in years. Let's talk about that. Because that's so horrible when you get home and all you want to do is you're finally home and you just want to make some money and work on your business and you're dead excited. You open a door and you just hear, oh, there was this earthquake and these people died. Genuinely, I've not heard that in years. Bro, how horrible is that? That point is it gives me PTSD. It's sticky, bro. Yes. Yeah. I genuinely have trauma. And unfortunately, and again, I mentioned this before, like, I genuinely sat my mum down. And bear in mind, again, like, it's just me and my mum. I don't have brothers, sisters, dad, nothing. Right. So I literally sat my mum down. This is after like 6 months or so, by the way. And also, I wasn't living with her at the time, right? It's just whenever I would FaceTime her or call her, she would still talk to me about it, right? I remember I went back home, I drove back to hers, and I sat down. I was like, Mum, listen, I love you. You are my world. You're my only person in this fucking world, right? But mother,
please do not talk to him about anything negative ever. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. It's not going to affect my life. I can't help it. So please, unless it's about you and your health, yeah, please let's just cut it out. And she was like, oh, okay. Swear to God, that was it. I promise you that fixed it all.
Really?
I promise you that fixed it all. This is why my mum is so fucking great, because like she's my best friend and she's always helped me throughout college. Like when I wanted to drop out of college, she was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do something, mum. I'm gonna make money." She was like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm just gonna do something." She made me get an apprenticeship, and then she was like, "All right, cool, you can drop out." So anyway, so yeah, that negativity. Did you have like a similar experience?
Yeah, 100%. But to be fair, my mum now kind of has stopped because she knows now, like, I don't talk to her that often. Because at the moment she's still living in England. She's soon going to be moving to Dubai. But she knows because we don't talk that often. I mean, not talk every second of the day. Whereas back at home, she can just come to my room and say hello. So because she knows we don't speak as often, we're not as close, obviously, because I'm in Dubai, she's in England. She knows that when she's on the phone with me, she doesn't want to kind of waste that phone call talking about complete nonsense. But still, she's occasionally mentioned a couple points about the news and all that stuff. But yeah, she'd always mention it to me, especially during that whole COVID time.
Yeah.
Because of the whole COVID time, what ended up happening? So I got kicked out of uni like September 2019 time. And for the first 3 months, September to December, I was living in my student house I was just telling you about. But then December, around Christmas time, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to live in the student house anymore because I'm getting distracted by all these guys having parties with girls. They're like playing Mario Kart or whatever, loud music. I went back to my mum's house that time. So for a few months from like December 2019, like just before COVID, 3 months before COVID, till about April, May 2020, those 4 or 5 months, I was with my mum. That's why when I speak about this topic with so much like passion almost, because I know how damaging it is. I remember I was just sat there during COVID. I couldn't work my sales job because we weren't allowed. And I was just sat there, no online income. I was just trying to figure things out. And I lost all my money with Forex around that period as well. So I was like, oh, this is the worst time ever. And my mum was constantly telling me, wash your hands. Like all the time because of the whole COVID thing. Wash your hands, ketchup bin it. Like, mum, please. Like, I don't want to hear ketchup bin it, kill it. Like, it gives me PTSD talking about it. I was like, Mom, like, if it's going to get me, it's going to kill me. It's probably going to kill everyone because I'm young, I'm a man, I'm strong, and all these things. She's like, yeah, but ketchup bin it, kill it. It's better to be safe than sorry. But like, just the whole, like, you know, the whole, like, everyone on the street is, like, clapping at 8 p.m. on Thursdays or whatever, the NHS. Yeah, you know that whole thing that was going on? It's like, Mom, like, this is all just nonsense. Like, I remember just being so angry because when you actually have made millions and you are doing well, you can kind of just
start
like
to
I said,
see the
create
world
your own bubble and people kind of operate in your timeline.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're living in your parents' house and you're actually broke and your mom cooks you dinner every night, it's like you're just a kid. Like, what do you know? And if you're so smart about the world, where's your money?
Yeah.
So that's why all of you guys. My brother said this the other day. My brother's a man of few words. When he speaks, it's good. He said a lot of these people online, Hassan, who follow you on Twitter, even in your Telegram, on your YouTube, they're 9 to 5 kids with an ego, and that's such a good point. They're the people in the middle. But they have an ego. I'd rather be Mr. Play hard, lots of girlfriends, or one girlfriend, has a good life, goes to the gym a lot, plays sports, maybe he's the captain of the football team. He has good memories. He doesn't have that much of an ego about, I know so much about the world and you guys are trapped in the system. No, but these guys in the middle are the worst. They think they're so good, they think they're so special. They think their situation's so unique.
They're the same guys commenting rental on your fucking car video.
They're just the arrogant ones.
Yeah.
Like, until you're there. Look, like I said, I was... you could say confident and arrogant, telling everyone I was going to make it. But I was saying it in more of a positive way. I didn't think like, and I kept myself to myself. I was trying to just help my friends. I wasn't like going out there telling everyone, oh yeah, I'm better than you. Like I kept myself to myself. There's a lot of these people in the middle category. These people genuinely think that like they've escaped the matrix or the system. And then all these people are like hive minds for like trying to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very honorable thing.
Yeah.
And even as a doctor, okay. Like I said before about my dad, he was in the NHS. But you can work privately as a doctor, become like a surgeon, and like working in America, places like this, work privately, make millions a year. You can create your own medical product and make millions, tens of millions a year. Just my dad wasn't a businessman. He didn't care about that stuff. But you can. So these people here who become accountants, lawyers, maybe they don't make quick millions at a young age. They might be a multi-millionaire at 37 years old. There's nothing wrong with that as well. They have 3 kids by that time already. There's lots of paths.
The people in the middle of the problem. I agree.
The other thing, when we're talking about kind of when I would come home, my mum would always talk about like negative things that would only be around the news, around the world, right? At the time as well, I started educating myself about mainstream media and how the world actually works and how everything has an agenda. And I think one of the reasons why it would just piss me off and I wouldn't want to talk about it is because, well, I just couldn't do anything about it. I mean, I'm a broke kid. I was like 18 at the time. What am I meant? All right, we can talk about it, but the fuck is that going to do in any shape or form positively, right? But then the second thing is I also started to learn and understand how everything has an agenda. there is somebody making a lot of money from Ukraine and Russia right now. There's somebody making a lot of money from what's happening around in Gaza. So then all of a sudden, when you start to see these things, and like Black Lives Matter, what happened with that? Sure, these are very, very controversial things and people have very, very strong opinions on these things, but I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is when you start to look online and you see these articles coming around and all these bad things that are happening behind the scenes that they don't really show in mainstream media, then all of a sudden, for me personally at least, it pisses me off even more, because these people are speaking about it and they're so consumed with all these negative thoughts and stories and so on that they don't have time to focus on themselves and what actually they're positively happy about, right? Like, I think a lot of people, if they just switch their mindset and actually focus on, okay, this has happened, this is just at least my personal opinion, right? I'm not saying I'm completely right, but this is just how I look at life and things going around the world. Is how I look at it is, okay, these things are happening around the world anyway, right? These things have been happening around the world for the last hundreds, if not, thousands of years, right? Me, myself, some young fucking 25-year-old guy, what can I do about it? Not a whole lot. If I share a black picture on my Instagram, yes, I like to show support, etc. And yes, I think these things are bad and these things are good and so on. However, me spending that time elsewhere, focusing on myself, focusing on building a business and making money to eventually become so financially and so influential to then actually be able to make a change in whatever it is, I feel like that is a better time spent than just actually sitting there discussing a topic with somebody who also can't make any fucking decisions or influence a certain topic. Then there's just two dummies talking about nonsense that just occupies your mindset for no positive reason.
Because
you're just wasting time.
I don't think they care too much about the solution. They just want to be part of something. It's like supporting a football team. You just kind of want to you want to have a purpose to your life almost. If you work a normal 9 to 5 job, let's say it's just super depressing, mind numbing, you hate your job, but you have to do it to pay your bills. But every Saturday you can go watch Manchester United in the stadium. That gives you like a purpose to your life. Like you live vicariously through those players. When they score a goal, you celebrate like this because you're living through them. So I do understand it. Yeah. But these people don't want a solution to their life. They just want an escape. That's why drugs and alcohol and all these kind of things and entertainment in general are so popular amongst poor people.
You know, I'm about to say something. This is going to round this whole fucking conversation back around, I think. You just said about escape, right? And I completely agree. That is why people go to the pub and da-da-da. And if you're living a normal 9 to 5 life, absolutely fine. And whenever not anymore, but when I was kind of maybe 3-4 years ago, and I would go back home to that council estate and I would speak to my friends or even my mum back then, 3-4 years ago, nobody would fucking understand or even sometimes believe me when I would say, I just work. What do you mean you don't work? What do you mean don't go out on Saturdays? No, I just work. Because we don't need that escape as such, right? Because we genuinely are passionate and love what the fuck we do now. We don't need a fucking vice or like an escape. Like, why? I don't need it.
Or you can look at it like they're trying to escape through their normal life or like the system or life through drugs and alcohol. Whereas I'm trying to escape from normal life and the matrix and the system through working hard to have lots of money. And then with this lots of money, I can live in a big house like this with this big office, for example. I know this is your place, but same thing for me, for example. Like I want to escape through making millions, then I can kind of create this perfect reality. But then other people want to escape through drugs because it's easier to pop a pill and to drink alcohol than it is to work on a table, a desk.
And then eventually, maybe and maybe not, get to a place where you're actually happy. Because
I
a lot of
think
people...
it's maybe, boys. I think it's certain that if you work hard, you're going to become successful. Because I know what you guys are saying, like, maybe it doesn't pay off, but like, if you actually work hard, like if anyone applies what we did and actually tried as hard as us, anyone would be successful. I don't care about IQ. They would become successful. It's just the whole point is that if you're actually a dumb person and you don't seek out the right mentors or help or surround yourself with the right people, then you won't make the right steps. But if you did the same exact things as me, you'd have the exact same results. I truly believe that. Yeah. Like we're all equals we're all equals. We can all do anything.
When I say maybe, by the way, I just mean in the sense that business in particular, because a lot of businesses fail, right? But I completely agree. And there's that saying online, which is like, there's only one way to fail, which is to stop. Like, same with gambling. So no, I'm joking. But anyway,
it's true though. You're only losing gambling when you quit.
You never, if you never stop gambling, you'll never lose.
Can I tell you something? There's a theory called the infinite monkey theorem, right? So I have an ebook called The 48 Laws of Money. I give it for free. I'll put it in my email list in the description. If this is on my YouTube channel, find this. Anyway, there's a theory in this book called the infinite monkey theorem. It basically means that if you give a monkey, an ape, whatever, an actual keyboard, he will eventually type any sentence, any essay, any paragraph in history if you give him an infinite amount of time. Think about it. If it's an infinite amount of time, eventually he's going to type in,
of course.
hello, my name is Monkey. Hello. anything, because it's infinite amount of time. You just keep typing eventually.
Yeah.
So the point is if you had enough time, you could basically do anything, which is obviously why speed is the most important thing, because we're not going to live an infinite amount of years. But even if I told you, let's say we're all going to live to 1,000, just us three. Everyone else is going to die at like say 75, 80, whatever. We could be a lot slower. We could enjoy walks in the park. Maybe we could be a lot more, stress-free and all these things. But we are going to die at a certain time. We only have a certain number of years. So we have to move with speed. But the point I'm trying to make is that when you're gambling, if you have an infinite bankroll, you can just keep doubling the money. Let's say you bet $50 in black, then 100, then 200, then 400, then 800, then 1.6, then 3.2, 6.4, 12.8. More. You can just keep doubling your money on black, whatever. You'd never lose if you had infinite bankroll and the casino let you bet $1 billion. You'd never lose, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in life. You can never lose if you try hard enough. Because even the monkey can type anything.
Yeah.
And you're smarter than a monkey.
And you can always make more money. Always.
So the point is even if 74 businesses fail in a row, you just need number 75 to work.
Yes.
The problem is most people don't go through 74 failed attempts in life because they work too slowly.
They try once or twice and
they didn't release the webinar quick enough.
Yeah.
But if they just release the webinar, okay, shits the bed. Within 4 months, they got something that works.
Yeah.
But they haven't put enough iterations in a certain time period.
And you see so many like stories in real life. Like I think it was at KFC, right? The
Colonel Sanders.
What, 75 or something when he
Maybe
first
65, but yeah.
Right? He was an older gentleman when he first started. Look at how big it is now, right? So the point is, he just didn't quit. Even
Is he alive?
Huh?
Is he alive?
Nah,
No, I don't
he
think
died
so.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
When was KFC came about?
No, I don't know
20s,
about
I
that.
think.
Yeah, so 20 years ago.
No, the 1920s.
KFC was out in the 1920s.
I think for quite a long time.
Bruh,
Yeah.
before World War II.
Yeah.
No way.
So yeah, Google.
Well, I mean,
that.
I'm gonna fact check myself on that.
I don't think so. If so, I'm happy to
What
be
was
wrong,
it?
but
Yeah, I was right. 1930.
Yeah.
1930.
So the point
Wow,
is
the
that
guy's
he
a
just
genius.
didn't quit. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure that motherfucker tried a bunch of different things.
yeah,
Right.
you just wake up at 65 and try business.
Right. So you just have to keep going. Like there are so like, okay, I'll give you a real life example myself, and maybe you boys can do this. Yeah. I mean, you both have mentioned it already on this podcast. For me, my first ever way of making money, well, actually the first ever one was like Twitch. I would live stream video games and I would like make some money from that. I wouldn't call it a business, but let's just call about businesses. I'll talk about businesses. So my first ever like business was creating videos and photos for local businesses. I wouldn't say that failed, but it didn't really make me that much money. So I kind of quit that. And then I went into paid ads. I started doing marketing online. It got me to a good enough place where I was able to retire my mum and travel the world. But then I felt like there's a next level and I wasn't quite getting it with that. So I kind of left that and now I do OFM, right? So there's so many different things. So now I'm on technically like my third iteration, if you want to call it, when it comes to like building a business and so on. And next year we're starting a new one. And so anyway, the point is that you don't have to just do that one thing and that's what is going to make you that millionaire. Hopefully, by all means, best of luck. But if it doesn't, just don't get discouraged because there are unlimited other businesses that you can start and still try and build on.
No, I agree.
Even like, I know Tate says this point a lot. He talks about how like, as long as you don't spend too much money starting a business, you're basically always going to be right. And the reason why I like that lesson so much is because it's so true. Like we talk about time and like going through your money. Let's say you've got $5,000 to your name and you're 21. The two assets you have is this, let's say $5,000 and the rest of your life, which is obviously the main asset, your youth. If you try enough businesses quick enough, then you can go through so many failed businesses very quickly and you get as much experience as possible. And the key to life is always get as much experience as possible in as short of a time period as possible. That's how you become good at anything. But the problem is if you spend $5,000 running Facebook ads and the Facebook ads are awful, now you have no money. And it is useful to have a bit of money. You don't need much money to have a business, but even if you want to buy a camera, you want to buy a suit for door-to-door sales,
A new MacBook.
a MacBook.
But
you do need a grand, $2,000.
And,
It helps to have
and
$5,000.
just a little side note before you go on, bro. Even if you don't, by the way, because I genuinely didn't. I swear on everything I love, I genuinely
But
didn't
you
have
remember
any.
my first MacBook?
Huh?
You remember my first MacBook?
Yeah, we bought it. Yeah. So
No, the prior one.
for me, I had three assets, if you want to call it, that I sold, which was a skateboard, a TV, and a PS3. So even if you're watching this and you don't even have any fucking money spare, you must have something around the house that you could just sell. Like the skateboard, I think I sold for £80. The PlayStation was, I can't remember, maybe 120, 110, and a TV was like 70. And then I bought the MacBook for like £200, and I had like maybe £40.
Is that the same MacBook?
No.
I was about to say, that looks nice.
No. It was like a 2007 one, and I remember saying this like all the time. It was like a Boeing 747 taken off in my room because it had the fans going. It's like, and it just randomly turned off. But anyway, yeah. So you don't. I agree. You don't need a lot of money, and even if you don't have any, you have something around the house that you could sell that is just a waste of time. Like if I went skateboarding, it wouldn't fucking help me build my business, would it?
Yeah,
So I just sold it.
let's be honest. I don't think anyone watching this right now is living in like a wooden shack in the woods.
With
Exactly.
zero
People
money.
say that to me like, bro, it's easy to say if you live in the Western world, but I live in Ghana. And I say for the most part, like my target audience isn't people living in Ghana. Most people who follow my content are in Europe or America or Canada or Australia. And you guys have it pretty easy. It's so easy to make money.
If you're in a first world country and you're
no
not complaining, there's no excuse.
I had one guy join my network, New Money, and his name is Jackson. Give him a little shout out. He's 16, right? He joined the group completely broke. He used his last money to join my group. And I gave him an ultimatum because he was going to buy a car or join New Money. But because I spent a few minutes answering a couple of his questions, I was like, look, bro, if I'm going to spend my time answering your questions, like, you're either going to join now or never. He's like, bro, you don't do this to me. I was like, that's just how I sell, right? Sorry, mate. That's how I do it. Gave him the ultimatum. He trusted me. First month, swear to God, he made 11 grand doing window cleaning, door-to-door sales. That's how good America is. America, they just print money. Everyone has money. Because in England, if you work X job, you get paid £25,000. In America, the same job might pay you $47,000.
The American economy is
it's just better. You make more money for the same job in America. So people in America just have more money. The whole tipping culture. People just love money in America.
It's because there's a lot more access to credit and stuff in America as well. So people have a lot more money to play with.
100%. People love debt and credit. A lot of people in America are in debt and credit, and they just use it, keep putting things on their card. But anyway, he made 11 grand in his first month. And obviously, he messaged me like, bro, this is the best decision of my life. The point is, he made 11 grand in his first month because he put himself back to the wall. All he needed was
he put himself in an uncomfortable position. There's too many people that, exactly. There's too many people that like, oh, the comfortable decision there is, oh, I'll buy the car. Now I've got a little car, I can drive around it. The uncomfortable decision is obviously investing to yourself and then actually make more.
I said to him, like, what car are you going to buy? I can't remember. He told me some bullshit. I was like, you want to buy this? Bro, I got 6 supercars at the time. I said, I had 6 supercars. I was like, what are you doing with this shit car? Like, buy a Lambo. What's up with this? Some shit car, whatever it was. I was like, bro, just get more money and then buy yourself a Mercedes. Like, that was my first nice car, a Mercedes-Benz C250D. Like £22,000. And I bought that in October 2020, like a year after I got kicked out of uni. So after I made a bit of money, I thought, okay, I'm going to buy this car. I basically spent all my money at the time on that car. But it's fine because I don't care about the £22,000. I care about the cash flow. And this is the thing about spending money that people don't understand, right? It's not about how much you spend. It's about how much you lose buying that thing. So let's say I bought a car that's £22,000. If I had £100,000, okay, maybe I want to spend all my money then on the car. But let's say I spend £80,000 on a car. It's not like it's 4 times more expensive because when you sell it, you're going to get 4 times more. So let's say I buy it for £22,000 and I sell it for £18,000. I lose 4 grand. Okay, maybe the £80,000 car depreciates 15 grand instead of the 4. So I lose like 10k more for depreciation. But it's not, I lose an extra 60k. You obviously understand what I'm saying. But a lot of people at home, they don't realize
they didn't quite get the head around that.
My mum didn't even understand it because I was looking at this car and she was like, Hassan, like, okay, you're making a bit of money now. Like, why not just buy a cheaper car that's 12,000? I was like, Mum, the difference isn't from 12 to 22. It's not £10,000. The difference is how much extra am I going to lose? Maybe an extra £500 selling this car than this one. Maybe an extra grand. So I'm only spending an extra grand for a way better car.
No, exactly.
And when I went round picking up girls in like Nottingham University and all these unis, I felt like the man in my Benz, my panoramic roof, ambient lighting. I felt good.
Yeah.
So it's completely just about how much you're going to lose. Even now, I don't think about how much something costs. I think about how much I lose buying something. And it's completely how all rich people think. Opportunity cost. If I buy a 500k SVJ now, maybe I could have put that 500k in Bitcoin and got a 1.5x. So that's a lot of opportunity cost. I'm like, do I want to buy the SVJ or do I? It's not about how much you...
I never understood this when I was younger as well.
They don't teach you this.
Yeah.
Because this is the true secret, I think, to fucking escaping is learning how to spend money. People don't talk about that. I think that's the number one skill people don't know how to do. I'm such a believer in that. You guys are good at it as well. When you tell me about some of your financial decisions, you're smart with the way you spend money. It's a good skill.
It's so funny, so interesting because a lot of people, majority of people, they're like, I mean, they don't say it to our face, but I'm assuming they're like, oh, what the why are you spending this much on a car? Why are you spending this much on rent? Why are you spending da-da-da-da? But me and Harry, I don't think we're quite fucking stupid. I think we know what we're doing. And there's always a reason on why we buy or rent certain things because it just makes us more money.
Yeah,
or it's a good financial
people
decision.
See it and they're like, oh, bloody hell, Harry and Mark's been stupid today.
Of course.
Obviously, bro.
Of course.
They think they got you.
Of course,
He's got his Rolls Royce that's temporary because...
He's not woken up on the right side. He's made a silly decision. They don't understand that we're quite switched on like the entire fucking time.
That's why you got the Rolls Royce.
We haven't got here by accident and by making...
Don't just wake up one morning and be like, you know what, actually, well, I've spent quite a few years working. I'm just going to blow all my money on this and lose it all. Like,
but they don't teach you this in school. Plus, I think a lot of people don't have the fortune of having an awesome dad like you had when you were younger.
No, but he didn't teach me that.
No, but like, what about finances?
The thing with like having like good parents in terms of upbringing is some people have the same upbringing as me in the sense of like they told them to believe in themselves with a business perspective on it as well. That's such an advantage. Imagine like if my dad was teaching me about business from the age of 10, probably be worth 100 million by now. Yeah. But he didn't. But he gave me self-belief, which I think can then allow you to learn anything yourself. I self-educated myself on everything, women, everything. I actually think I grew up quite naive because I come from a religious background, religious family, and I was kind of naive with how the world worked. I thought everyone was like honest, and I thought everyone told the truth, and I thought everyone was nice and all these things. And I grew up like, oh, in business, people actually can lie and betray you. I learned that like, oh, yeah, like I just learned that people are they can be bad. But I kind of grew up very naive. I'd say I was more naive than the average kid in school, my first 15, 16 years of my life. But now I'd say I'm a lot more street smart than 99% of people because of experience and self-education. But I think self-belief is the only thing your parents need to give you. Having self-esteem, because then you can go on to learn anything. Who cares if I don't know much about money, women, life, how to learn anything? As long as I have belief that I can do all these things, and I'll be fine.
Exactly.
So I think it's the most important skill.
But it has to be that balance between your parents, because I think nowadays, you get all these like rewards for like just taking part, and even if you came like 24th, you still took part, and here's your medal, right? So there's a balance between like making your kid a bit. I don't even know how to. Yeah, I mean, I get, obviously you probably understand where I'm trying to come from, but yeah, it's just like there's a balance between getting them to have that self-belief that they can do anything and they can achieve whatever they want, but then also getting them to understand that okay, you can as long as you put in the work.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, my like for example, in my GCSEs in England, I got 5 A stars, 3 A's, and 2 B's. But then in physics, I got an A, but you can basically pay extra money to find out exactly the mark you got to see how close you were. Because I was kind of shocked at then getting A stars. I was like, whoa, like how much did I miss it by? I was curious. I missed it by 1 mark. So when I got home, my dad was like, are you happy with? Like he was disappointed. I was like, oh, like he was very disappointed actually. Even though I did well, it's better than probably 99% in the country. But he was just like, could you have done better? That was always kind of what he said. Could you have done better? Could you have worked harder? I was like, well, yeah.
That's such a powerful mindset.
And then it's it kind of just removes all your excuses. Okay, this podcast is good, but truthfully,
I had the same thing with my.
We could have made this podcast better if we planned it. So we're actually lazy idiots. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm talking out loud. Next one has to be better. Plan it in advance. Have better questions. Have better stories.
I had the exact same thing with my GCSEs. I got straight A stars. They called them 9s in my day, but it was straight, so it was straight A stars aside from 1, which I got an A, and I got an A in geography. I was so pissed off because I wanted. So I got 12 A stars, and then I wanted the I wanted 13. I wanted the full set, but yeah, obviously that geography one didn't quite come through. So
and other people will be like, "Oh, you've done well enough." It's not about that. It's like you could have got that.
I think
I was fucking livid because I could have. I know the question. To this day, I know the question. and I could have revised it beforehand, but I didn't for whatever reason. And it was.
I think that also ties back to that conversation we're having probably like 20 minutes ago about the fact that we don't need a vice or a break because there are so many things to do. There's always better. You can improve your business, get more clients, you can improve your service, and so on and so on. So we don't need a break because there's always so much to do. I think that's another thing I don't understand when people are like, I don't know what to do, or I'm lazy, or like I'm not motivated.
So much to do
every day.
Even if you're broke right now, there's so much to do. Like, especially if you live in the first world, like I said, everyone can afford to go to a fight gym. Just spar with your friend. That's good. It's fun. Do wrestling, then do jiu-jitsu, then do striking, kickboxing, punching, everything. You can then have a competition on the treadmill. Press-up competition, push-ups, whatever. Right? Skipping. You can do skipping. You can sit there, watch this podcast. You can sit there, listen to my voice notes. You can sit there. Even reading a self-improvement book is better than complaining about being bored, which I don't even think is good, but... There's so much you can do. You can just start writing tweets, writing emails, cold outreach, cold calling, applying for 10. You know what I used to do when I was poor? I used to apply for random sales jobs or just random jobs in general, like random interviews, just to practice interviews. So I remember I was applying for like Boots, Boots in England, or like all these like kind of companies like these, just whatever I could find. I can't even remember the rest. I remember particularly Boots, like the interview went super, super well. They loved me. And like, they kept messaging me like basically what happened? Like I thought you wanted to... But
you're just doing it for practice.
Just doing it for practice. It just gives you more confidence.
I like it.
Yeah.
Because everything in life is an audition. That's how I see everything. This podcast, I see it as an audition for when I'm very known in the future and I get 5 million views on a podcast. This is practice for that. But I can never be on that level if I don't practice now.
Of course.
And like even now, like I'm on super low sleep, so I think it's affecting my performance here. So then I learned that, okay, when I'm tired, it affects the way I speak and how much my memory can record.
I like it.
I think our brains work exactly the same. I always analyze everything. How could I have improved that? Why did I do it this way? Why did I say that? Is there a better word I could have used?
That's why you can't complain about the lack of your results. Like you guys are just smarter. So if I'm to critique myself, you guys are just smarter than me. If I was watching this at home, I'll think, why is this guy wearing an Under Armour? Well, that's actually a disadvantage. But then again, that's kind of my personality. I like these clothes. But someone said on one of my podcasts, they're like, yeah, this guy's definitely a multi-millionaire with this £15 Adidas t-shirt. I was looking at like, if you don't know me, you do see this guy talking about how he's a multi-millionaire with the £15 Adidas t-shirt. But then I was like, bro, I have a gold AP and lots of other stuff. But yeah, obviously like, Yeah, appearance matters. Everything matters. And if you analyze yourself from a third person point of view, you're like, okay, that could have been better.
Critique everything.
Critique everything.
Yeah. You know what it comes down to, bro? Self-accountability.
But they don't have that.
Yeah, bro. Everything.
Why do they not have that?
Everything is my fault. I programmed myself from a very, very early age to say everything is my fault.
Because it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even sometimes when I think to myself, like sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, oh, why did this member of staff not do this? And I'm like, no. It's my fault.
Why didn't I tell them to do that? Why didn't I train them in such a way? Why didn't I hire somebody to overlook them to make... Bro, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
I need to do this call.
I was just going to say, and I need to piss. However, boys, Hassan has an incredible network called New Money. If you want to give people a bit of context about what it is and why they should join, what's inside it?
Yeah, boys, so I have a private community called New Money. I'll post this on my channel as well, so you guys will know as well a bit more about it. But yeah, I have a private community called New Money. The main focus of the group is making money online. We have 1,300 people inside the group. It's people like us. These two guys aren't in it at the moment. I should actually add you guys in. But yeah, we have 1,300 people, full of like-minded people. If you want to do business with someone, you need to find a business partner. It's difficult to find them in real life. Like these guys, they met each other through social media. I say this all the time. If you want to find like-minded people, you either meet them through online communities or social media. But why did he message him? He messaged him because he had a picture with Central C. Not everyone can get a picture with Central C. So it's very difficult to network with online. My good friend, Tate, he meets so many of his people, like the guys who sell him watches and stuff, through social media. But he has a huge platform. Everyone knows who he is. So it's different. But if you're a nobody on social media, you need to join online communities. It's the best way to meet people. Because the chances of you stumbling into someone in the supermarket or the gym, the right time, the right moment, like, hey, bro, and then having the same worldview about every topic, like women, gym, money, business, it's impossible. It's basically very impossible. Very unlikely. So that's why I kind of created the community. I created the group because I wanted to have a platform of people where I could travel the world with, do business with. And one of my business partners now, I actually have 5 Shopify stores. We sell home goods. Craig, he's actually outside the store right now. I would have never, ever gotten to e-com if I didn't have him as a friend. And I met him through New Money. And how did I meet him? Because he came to the meetups and all these kind of things. So if someone comes to the meetups, you meet in real life, oh, what do you do? Oh, e-com, you have warehouse, you have staff. What the fuck? Like a warehouse, how do you even get into that? Like, I would have never even thought of those kind of ways of making money.
That's interesting.
So that's why I created the online community. You can send me a DM and get you inside, but yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. Cool. We'll leave those links down below, and an episode of Craig is next up. See you boys in the next one.